was lost.
A little flat on Innocence, but other than that, it was great. We'll go again. Huh?
Mm-hmm. One more time.
Somehow our...
That's my sound, man.
And some people like, really? I'm like, no, I promise you. Because I was like...
And you know your nips, right?
I know.
Combing the depths of the TMU for a quarterly review of fact checks, figures, and phrases that you didn't know you needed. It's FOTMCast with your hosts, Toronto Mike, Cam Gordon, and Tyler Campbell.
Friday night, you and your boys went out to eat. Then they hung out, but you came home around 3.
Tyler, you realize this Whitney Houston song just got us booted from
Oh my
Spotify.
God.
Like this episode just got booted from Spotify.
It's a disaster.
Do I do an intro? I can't remember. Do I do an intro?
You do a little intro.
You know what? I'll explain to people later the disorganization I just witnessed. Okay, but welcome to episode 1566 of Toronto Mic'd. Proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery who believes in supporting communities, good times, and brewing amazing beer. Order online for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. The Advantaged Investor Podcast from Raymond James Canada. Learn how to plan, invest, and live smarter. Season 7 of Yes, We Are Open, an award-winning podcast from Moneris. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. And Ridley Funeral Home. Pillars of the community since 1921. Today, joining me for our quarterly FOTM cast is Cam Gordon and Tyler Campbell.
Hello. Hello, Toronto Mike. The censored one. You've been running into some issues there with the tech platform.
The hell?
You want me to address this right off the top?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Okay, firstly, we know that if you're listening to FOTM cast, you're a real head. You are a diehard Toronto Mike listener. Is that fair to say?
Very fair to say.
Like, this is not for the casual, you're not going to drive by and tap into FOTM cast.
Sure, yeah.
Not at all.
So you're a devout listener, and you give a shit because you're listening to this very meta quarterly roundup.
You're looking to have some gaps filled in.
Right.
Some detail.
You care about the TMU.
To unpack some of the themes a bit deeper, at a deeper level.
So if that's you, then stop listening to podcasts via Spotify, because Spotify literally in the past week has removed hundreds of episodes of Toronto Mic'd from their platform.
They're fucking you.
Yeah.
You cannot use Spotify to even hear the Toast episode I recorded on Friday night with Bob Willett and Rob Pruce. Like, that's gone.
Yeah.
So
I would love to hear an episode, and here's a food for thought for Q4 Mike. An episode of like Toronto Mike versus the future. I'd honestly be interested to hear about your concerns about stuff like what you just described, getting booted from platforms because of copyright. I don't know if you're following what's happening with like the Wayback Machine right now, where a lot of stuff's being pulled off there that could like fuck that whole website.
And that's such an important resource for guys like us who want to go back and read the message boards and
yeah. And then you've got the AI factor, and we're going to talk. I think we're going to probably talk about that episode, the your worst podcast. There's a lot of shit coming.
That's not a Q3 episode.
Is it? Okay.
So
okay.
we
have to wait.
On that note, gentlemen. Okay, so today is October 17. Can we get the FOTM cast episodes closer to the end of the quarter? Because I actually don't like the fact there's several episodes that have been recorded in Q4 that are embargoed, because I would like to talk about the AI episode, the Marsden episode. There's a whack of stuff I want to talk about. But we are not allowed to talk about those episodes.
Right. I was away though. I think that's the only reason
Yeah, I think
we
that's,
bumped it.
Yeah.
So
and then there was a movie premiere also
Right.
that bumped it.
yeah, that little guy had a movie.
So Cam, it was good to see you at the premiere of Stu Stone's new movie, Don't F with Ghosts.
Yeah, good movie. I'd say this is of his scripted films Stu's best work. I say that genuinely. I'll be honest, I didn't love his last one. I don't know how you felt, Bandits. Yeah, but I thought this one was good. I think they're hitting their stride. So good job
good to
with
hear.
Stu and Adam. How do you like it, Mike? You were there?
I think what they've got is this wonderful formula where Stu and his brother-in-law Adam, they can get a little money, not too much, right? These are low budget flicks, and they go off to Winnipeg, and then they create something. Like they create something out of nothing, and a lot of it is this dynamic between Adam and Stu. They've got a very good rapport, and it's pretty funny. And then, shit happens, and they always end up with some wild and crazy big finish. And you're like, I'm just proud of Stu, and he did it again. Like, I'm just proud of Stu.
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell the listenership that they can watch this on demand via Hollywood Suite. I think effective Halloween, which is I'm told it's October 31st, 2024. Like you can see this.
Yeah,
Very exciting.
And this was in Q3. You were at the Hollywood Suite TIFF breakfast. Were you not? Who was there?
Let me run down the list.
Let me get comfy here. I know there's a lot of FOTMs in the room.
It's so long ago. I'm trying to remember, but there were a number of good FOTMs, not just David Kine, who invented Kynes. There's an S on the end of that.
Kynes, yeah.
Who
Brian
invited
Dunn was
me.
there.
Brian Dunn was absolutely there. Joel Goldberg was there. I saw Ed Conroy, Retro Ontario. Gord Martineau was there. Gord, by the way, before we move too quickly from the Stu Stone movie premiere that Cam and I attended just, I guess, about a week ago, Gord Martineau was there. He's in this movie, and I had a pretty good chat with Gord.
Absolutely. I would say he's the second most famous fan there. Who would you say is the number one?
Ross Atkins.
Ross Atkins.
Ross Atkins was there. I come out of the theater, I go, because Cam and I had different seats. We weren't even close to each other in this thing.
That's right.
And, I should also quickly just shout out YYZ, Gord, and Tom. They were at this film as well.
Big Stu heads.
They're big stew heads. But I said, Cam, sitting in the row ahead of me was Ross Atkins. And, Cam and Ross, for a period of time, had their paychecks coming from the same place.
That's right. Yeah.
So he's like a colleague of yours.
Yeah. Person non grata, given the Jays season. You're loathsome 2024 Toronto Blue Jays.
Are you surprised Ross Atkins is still in Toronto?
No.
Like, not that, like, in the sense that he could be doing this work from Florida or something. Like,
still physically in Toronto.
Yeah, I mean, like physically. Like,
well, I guess he stayed around for the movie.
But that says something, right? Like, he could easily go do this from Arizona or something.
Yeah.
But
So,
nothing.
why are Ross and Stu buds? Like,
yeah,
okay,
they're bud buds.
okay.
And why do you think when Stu made a surprise appearance here earlier in the year and we got into Jay's talk, he was so high on the hope?
Yeah.
Like, let's see what he was very, bullish on the 2024 Blue Jays, and I think there's a lot of Ross friendship bias.
Want to be mean to
there.
his buddy?
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
But that season,
That was a stinker.
yeah, brutal.
So I didn't just hang out with Cam Gordon this past quarter at the Stu Stone movie premiere. I also attended a Massey Hall event with you, Tyler.
That's right. We had a good time. I was going to say that I think we all had dates without each other. You and I.
Did you two have a date?
We went to the Hammer to see Explosions in the Sky.
Yeah, summer.
That's
It's
funny.
called Summerfest. What's it called?
So you two went to
Supergirl.
Hamilton. How was that?
It was a lot of
great.
fun. Great night. Yeah.
Wow.
And
And Cam and I did the Stu thing, but you and I, Tyler, we went to Massey Hall for the Songwriters
That's right.
Hall of Fame induction, and that was a great night.
That was fun.
Yeah,
Yeah. Sarah McLachlan, Blue Rodeo.
some big names there.
Yeah.
Hall of Famers.
And bumping into people like Jamie Campbell and Tara Sloan and Erica M.
Love it.
And Rob Del Mundo.
Rob Del Mundo was
Oh
there.
my God.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
Community.
Heard a lot of French songs, which was fun.
Oh, John Moore and I had a lengthy conversation outside the Massey Hall, and he was talking to me like we were longtime buds. And then I just remarked to John Moore, I said, this is the first time we've ever met. And he didn't believe me. He said, no. What about cycling and stuff? And I had to assure him that I would remember meeting John Moore. That was the first time I had met John Moore, but he did speak to me like we were longtime buddies.
I hate to ask, he's an FOTM, but I feel like a long time ago, maybe?
Well, we got him to a side door. He was told by his program director, Mike Bendixson, he was not allowed to appear on Toronto Mike.
Okay.
Because of an episode I did with Amber Giro. See, this is why you come to FOTMcast.
Oh, yes.
You get the inside stuff.
I remember
here.
this.
In fact, we talked about that. But I snuck him in. He had a colleague at 1010 pass away, and I did like a Ridley Funeral Home memorial conversation with John Moore. So I got him in through a side door, but we never had him on for his proper deep dive.
Interesting. Okay. He seems like he reminds me a bit of Pagan, like a naturally curious guy who's a big deal, but still sort of likes being in the weeds, getting his hands dirty with this shit you do down here.
That's a good comparison. Yeah. And it'll come up in a moment, I think, because we're going to check in on upcoming TMLX events very soon. But
yeah, we are.
You guys will be in the same room as Steve Paikin on Monday night. But we'll talk about that in a moment.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's going to be fun.
All right.
All right, Tyler, I pass the baton to you. Do you want me to play this?
Yeah, let's.
Just back. So Cam was in, I don't know, there was a problem with the TTC, and Cam was really, really late. And then we started this thing really late.
Yeah.
And then the opening theme was an old one.
Yeah.
I was choking on my coffee.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. I swear to God.
So you went off, just to tell people, so Cam and I started talking about
Sean Young.
Tom Skerritt,
Sean Young, Baby.
I really wanted to be in that conversation.
Baby Land of the Lost.
And Tyler goes up to the top of the stairs to secretly edit together the opening. Like, that's great service by you. I'm not talking about Ian's service, but Tyler, that was good that you did that.
We couldn't have a repeat opening, and I think we'd all agree that it was worth it.
Well, I'm not sure it was worth it. Cam, was it worth it?
It was pretty good.
What episode's that from?
That was from Gary Chowan. You were talking about the Bizarre, the Showtime cut of Bizarre.
Oh, I remember seeing the nipples.
Yeah.
Under the shirt.
Gary said, "You know your nips."
Gary Chowan, we'll talk about episodes.
We'll talk about Gary.
Should we, before I play this first clip, should we establish the premise of these FOTM casts?
I think we should.
In case somebody's listening to the first. Can you do it, Tyler?
Absolutely.
You got a better voice than me.
Yep. So this is a very deep dive into the world of the TMU, the Toronto Mike universe, and we're looking specifically at the episodes from the past quarter, Q3, and we're going to go deeper than anyone should ever go on anything. We're going to go into the numbers, the facts, the figures. We're going to do some fact checking. It's very intense. It's very deep, and it's only for the very.
We got the flotsam. We got the jetsam.
We
got the minutia.
Yeah, if you don't consider yourself a Toronto Mike fan,
get out of here.
Get the hell out of here.
Stop listening.
Turn it off.
Yeah.
Stop listening. I don't want you to listen.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
You're
listen.
not welcome here.
By the way, breaking news on the live stream, live.Toronto Mike. This is exciting. Moose Grumpy says Ross Atkins is Adam Rodness's neighbor.
Oh.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay.
And that's how Stu got to know his brother-in-law and his partner in crime at 5-7 Films is the neighbor of Ross Atkins.
Wow.
Okay, and Jeremy Hopkins, just before I play clip number 1, he says, balls deep FOTMs
That's
only.
Right. He gets it.
Well said, J-Ho, and I'll be seeing you soon. We're going to do a special Haunted Toronto Halloween special with the official historian of the Toronto Mike podcast, Jeremy Hopkins.
Terrifying.
That's happening.
Thank you. Thank you, people, for keeping me pushing and keeping me pushing. You hear, Shar? September 17. For a girl I know it's Mother's Day. Her son is gonna leave, and that's where he will stay. Well, on the weather van,
I don't want to fade it down, Tyler. What a beautiful song. Gord Downey gone 8 years ago today, right?
7 years ago.
It was 7.
It says 8th grade. I know.
That's strike 2, Tyler.
Yeah, I know.
I'll replace you in a heartbeat.
Yeah, you should.
Wow. Do you remember recording with JD and I?
Yeah, that was 6 years ago today.
On the first anniversary of Gord Downey's passing.
That's right.
Who's JD?
Jamie Dew.
Jamie Dew has changed his handle. He would like to be referred to as JD.
JD.
And it's funny, we're playing Fiddler's Green for Road Apples because just last week I recorded an episode of JD's new Tragically Hip podcast in which I went into great details about why I love this song so much.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And there was an interesting moment where we record this thing because I love talking about this band. And the next day I said, hey, JD, when is it going to drop? Because, I drop things right away, but I know some people hold on to things for a little bit. And he goes, oh, the series launches in January, and I'm not sure when. And I'm like,
JD takes his time.
Yeah. This is the same guy who has the Pavement podcast.
Yeah, you're on
Okay,
that.
yeah, I was going to say he changed his moniker. Okay.
Yeah, he went from Jamie Dew. Well, Jamie Dew is technically also
Jamie Dew,
right,
of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I want to ask you guys about the Tragically Hip documentary on Prime, but I'm very curious about Cam's relationship with the Tragically Hip because I know Tyler is a fellow hip head.
Yeah.
But Cam, what does the Tragically Hip mean to you, buddy?
Well, it's interesting. I remember once MF said, "Oh, I just assume you didn't like them." Because I feel like she thinks I'm too snobby.
Because they're too popular.
Too snobby. No, of course. Yeah, no, I'm a fan. I feel like there was a phase in the 90s where it was sort of pretend not to like them when I was just into indie rock. But I mean, how could you not, being of our generation? I was lucky enough to got to see them a couple times at another roadside attraction and then Eden Fest. I guess never their own headlining show. Yeah, I mean, they're great. I feel like their music's aging pretty well. I feel like the last, I feel like now we're going to go in the last calendar year since Gord's passing, since it seems like it's going to be almost like something we look at every year. They seem like they're monetizing a lot of things in the last year, which power to them.
That's FOTMJ Gold doing his thing.
Good for you got the hip charcuterie board and the scented candle and the
Can you
canoe.
get a hip casket yet? Is that on the
well,
Shout
I
out
don't
to
know.
Ridley Funeral.
Won't be long, but yeah, they're awesome. I love them. It's I mean, pun intended. It's a tragedy. Dude's not with us.
Yeah, we missed the guy. And Tyler, what did you think of the documentary series on Prime?
I loved it. It was I watched it voraciously. I drunk it in. I binged it pretty hard.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a really nice balance of things I knew versus things I didn't know, like the whole exploration of the sax player in the band.
That was fascinating.
That was fascinating.
I didn't know that.
I'd never seen a picture of him, but he stood out like a sore thumb.
And he passed away himself.
I was going to say that guy died semi-recently.
He did.
2023.
Yeah. It was. I just thought it was beautiful, and many points where I was in tears because it was so emotional. The segment about Fiddler's Green was really revealing and emotional. In that little clip there, which was from the final concert, he gives his sister a little shout out at the beginning.
Wow.
Did you guys, I haven't seen it yet, but I will watch it at some point. Did you guys, this is a dumb question, did you guys learn stuff? It sounds like there was a decent amount of new information.
The whole Bob Rock production episodes, like that, referencing that, you kind of get a sense of how close this band came to breaking up, and how it became like sort of a Gord, almost like a Gord album versus a Tragically Hip album, and Gord would go with Bob Rock instead of running through the band, and just very eye-opening. What did you think of that, Tyler?
Yeah, no, I mean there were definitely some very hurt feelings and bruised egos around that time.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, the band was really on the verge of breaking up, and they also struggled a lot with Gord's early solo stuff. They didn't really know what it meant.
Which, if you might recall, I had Paul Langlois here in the summer, and one of the questions I asked him was like, how did you feel when your lead singer, Gord Downey, said he had a solo album he was working on? And I thought Paul, like, that's the, the first opportunity I had, obviously, to find out, like, because I'm naturally curious when you're a band and the guy goes and does a solo effort, and I got a sense from Paul, like, it's like, why aren't you writing songs with us? And we're a band. Like, why are you doing that?
But those albums, from what I recall, are pretty like esoteric.
Well,
like, they're
and
pretty like out there.
no
That's
hits.
the thing that Rob Baker said in the documentary. It was like, I was worried that, I was going to lose my day job. And then I heard the album and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's
not that.
Yeah, like he needs his meal ticket.
Yeah,
I think is what Rob
exactly.
and that's exactly right. Gord would have difficulty filling up the Horseshoe Tavern, but if the Hip could fill up, the Dome, Taylor Swift style.
I would say those albums did help him, I think, or the band and Gord specifically, get embraced by almost like the indie rock crowd, because there was a lot of,
like Kevin Drew.
Yeah, like Kevin Drew's in there, and Julie Dorian from Eric's Trip, and the Fucked Up Guy, and I mean, Dallas Green is not like an indie rock person, but yeah, the Sadies were in there exactly. Yeah, he did an album with the Sadies too. That's actually like a fucking great album.
It's a really, really good album.
And the guy, the other Josh Finlayson from Skydiggers.
Yeah, and that it was
Kevin Hearn, of course.
Yeah, Dinner's Ruin guy, whatever that guy. Like it's real sort of deep cuts with the kind of the Canadian indie scene. And yeah, those albums, not everyone's cup of tea, but he clearly had some other songs and some other sounds you need to get out. So I think it's a really interesting part of the legacy, needless to say.
Absolutely.
And here's a fun fact for you, Cam
God, it
Gordon.
sounds so fucking pretentious. No wonder MF's like, do you even like them?
Just, what? Hip were too mainstream for you, right? Like you can't tell me now you're a Pearl Jam fan, right? Like, you're a Pavement guy. Like,
yeah, but I'm like too, like now it's just like it's everything. I don't know. I just, but definitely like in my 20s, I was like way more too cool. Too cool for school. I can't even say.
Well, here's a tidbit for you, Cam Gordon, which is that I did mention I recorded an episode of JD's podcast, which will air at some point in 2025.
There you go.
But this handsome guy right here, Tyler Campbell, he's recording with JD next week
on Monday.
So we're gonna have dueling episodes.
That's right.
And is this the same concept? Like you talk about one song,
right?
Yeah, love it.
That's exactly right. JD knows to go back to the Hip well. This is his third podcast by my count about the tragic Hip.
He's the
Cam,
guy.
here's what I want. When these episodes drop in 2025, you got to listen to my episode and Tyler's, and you got to come on FOTMcast and declare a winner. Who's that? And I if it's Tyler, it's Tyler. I won't, I'm not going to fix it in post. I want to know which
I'll rate them each on a scale of 1 to 100 and assign grades.
I already lost one competition to you, the best year in music.
Well, Beck called it like she saw it.
She did.
Shout out to Ridley. And there is a big Tragically Hip fan.
There you go.
Yes.
Beck might have been the biggest Hip fan I knew.
One of the biggest.
So, can we crack open for both Gord
Please.
and Beck?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can we crack open our Great Lakes beer here?
Yes.
Okay, you want it? 3, 2, 1? 3,
1, 2, 3.
1.
Oh, I actually did that time.
You can't even count in the right order. Yeah. So indie. Okay. So cheers.
Cheers. Yeah. To
the beers were cold when I thought Cam was going to be
cool now.
Still cold. I know we're going to do the wiki corner in a second, but just because Hopkins and I think I might have mentioned this to him. I actually, after he came on your episode in Q3 and he talked about where the Bob Cajun video was filmed.
Oh, right. The light.
Yeah. So I did actually update Wikipedia with set information and the fucking wiki police, and we'll get to them a bit later. They left it in. So Hopkins, I think you'll see that in there. But
that's exciting.
Okay, hold that fire. We are going to get into the wiki leaks.
Really on like the outskirts of Toronto, like right before you like crossed over. Because I actually looked on the map where that is.
It was fascinating to hear Jeremy talk about that house, that home, and who lived there, and that he took that light and he has it.
Yeah.
Like we held it up for the picture we took.
No.
And again, Jeremy Hopkins will be back. And we did shout out JD, but I do want to tell you, Tyler, and you, Cam, that you'll be in the same room as JD, because I'd just like to shout out the upcoming TMLX events, and then we'll get to the next segment. So on my birthday, when I turned 50, I received a kayak at TMLX 15. I'll never forget it. What a special moment. That was at Great Lakes Brewery in South Etobicoke. We're all going to get together, and I say we're all, but actually... like you had to already by now respond RSVP and get on the list of 40. So
it's like the FOTM cast of TMLX events.
Right. So TMLX 16 is taking place this coming Monday from 6 to 9 at the GLB Brew Pub. That one's at Jarvis and Queens Quay. So it's not in the southern Etobicoke area. It's in Jarvis and Queens Quay. But you had to already, I put it in the feed and I already talked about it, but you had to get on a list. So if you're on the list, and I know JD's on the list, I know you two are on the list, I know Jeremy's on the list, and I'm on the list, of course. And we're all going to get together Monday night at GLB Brew Pub. I can't wait to see you there at TMLX 16.
Yeah. By the way, you know, as my low point of Q3, hearing that Bob Willett thinks I don't like him. And he's going to be there. Is he?
yeah.
Like, I want to.
Bob's going to be there.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
want him thinking, why would I not like him?
You know what? But if you heard in real time, I called him out. Like,
Yeah.
I don't see there any possibility that Cam does.
Yeah.
And I don't know where that comes from.
I think it's just I come off
You're
as
reserved.
rude because I'm quiet.
You're quiet.
And I've gotten that before. So, like, I'm not surprised someone would think that. But
You're reserved.
yeah.
And some
Anyway.
people misinterpret reserved for like
Aloofness.
coldness.
Anyway, I want to clear the air because I do like Bob very much and Rob.
And what, you're both great guys. Like,
Of course.
I'd be shocked to find out there was a. Like, I
Yeah.
expect Langer and VP of Sales.
Yeah,
here.
I mean,
But
that
that's
guy's
shtick.
that
That's
guy's an
shtick.
asshole.
That's Stu Stone shtick. But I think you guys can kiss and make up, and I'll get a photo. Bob Willett and Cam Gordon at TMLX 16.
Absolutely.
Now, if you're listening and you didn't get on the list and you want to go to a TMLX event, and by the way, before I go by Monday's event too quickly, Great Lakes is hosting us, so they have a restaurant at the GLB Brew Pub. So there won't be Palma
No
pasta.
pasta.
No Palma pasta.
Wow.
What?
But so that'll be all GLB. They'll feed us and we'll get a drink from GLB.
Bar snacks?
I'm expecting a little bit better than that.
Sliders?
Actually.
Oh.
I actually, to be honest, I was at this launch of a beer, Holy Mackinac Lager, and Joe Bowen was there.
Of course.
And I actually went to GLB and I said, for TMLX 16, I want the Bowen treatment. Like, I want what Bowen got. And I negotiated hard, and
Wow.
I'm getting the Bowen treatment. So it's going to be better than just,
Oh.
it's going to be better than that.
Okay.
Okay.
But
Good tease.
if you want Palma pasta, this is exciting news. Everyone listening is invited, and I don't have to like cap it at 40. So I can have 400 people there if I want. And they make the food there, so I could actually feed all 400 people. But take this down, everybody. Get a pen or a pencil, or you can just type it in your phone. I don't care. Put it in your calendar directly. That's fine too. November 30, that's a Saturday. November 30th from noon to 3. So, Andy, you're going to have to set an alarm. Noon on a Saturday, November 30th, 2024. We're all collecting at Palma's Kitchen in Mississauga. And I'll bring the beer from Great Lakes Brewery. You know, delicious fresh craft beer brewed right here in Southern Etobicoke. And of course, Palma Pasta will feed us because they're hosting us. Everyone's invited. Will you guys be there?
Yes.
I say I'm a TBD.
Uh-oh.
What would get in the way?
Well, a couple things. I might have to work that day. And then
Saturday
my
at
daughter's.
noon.
Yeah, like with the new gig has some weekend obligations. So,
You were better at the phone company.
not so sure about that. Okay, let's move on.
All right, let's move on. Again, this is unlike all the other Toronto Mic'd episodes where Tyler hits me with these audio elements and I have to keep track of everything. But I think we're ready for this.
Q3 wrapped. Let's get into it. All right. I'll just hit you with the...
Is that your tagline? Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Let's get
That's
into it.
my catchphrase.
I like it. And that. Let's get into it. That'll be my opening.
All right. So I'm going to hit you with the quick facts and figures here about
Are these
Q3.
accurate this time? Because you
They're
were inaccurate
accurate.
in the past, right?
I was once inaccurate, and I corrected myself.
And
so
AI got a hold of that mistake, if I remember
they did.
correctly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. AI is...
To be discussed in the next FOTMcast.
Yes, Q4. We'll talk in Q4.
Go ahead.
Okay. This was the 49th quarter of Toronto Mic'd episodes. Very exciting.
Oh, that is exciting.
Yeah. There were 44 episodes in Q3, the fewest number of episodes since Q1 of 2020.
Whoa.
The first quarter of COVID, where you had 43
Yeah.
episodes.
Why is that, Mike?
Actually, it's your fault. Let me explain. So, at my 50th, which was in late June, I received a kayak. And I'm now 50 years old, and I have a kayak. And I intentionally, I think I shared this discreetly with Tyler that I was doing this. I reduced the number of Toronto Mic'd episodes in order to increase the free time I might have for a bike ride to the lake or the Humber River, and then getting in a good 90-minute paddle and then biking back. Like that it's a time-consuming exercise. I need a good 3.5 hour block or something to do this right. So I intentionally recorded fewer episodes this past quarter. What do you say about that?
What was the effect on your upper body? Like, do you feel stronger? Like, it seems like very
right now.
strenuous.
Do you want me to take off my shirt?
Yeah, let's see the guns.
Yeah, before and after.
I don't know what to say to that. You have to ask Monica.
Yeah.
But I feel good. And
Feel jacked?
the funny thing is, I thought like the kayaking would cannibalize my cycling, but I actually set personal records for most kilometers biked in the month of August.
Unreal.
And I almost got there again in September. And I'm having a hell of a personal best October. So I've never biked more in my life, and I'm still getting in that water. And I think it's because I guess doing fewer Toronto Mic'd episodes frees me up to be this physically fit specimen before you.
I think it was a good summer too. Like the weather was pretty good.
Yeah,
and,
I just wanted to
why
enjoy
wouldn't
the
you be on
summer.
water? Absolutely.
Good for you.
But
God
it was
bless.
such a good experience. I'm actually thinking, what if I like blocked every Monday next summer? So I just
Kayak
always
Mondays?
just long bike ride, kayak
Foldable
Mondays.
kayak
like this. You
Mondays.
know what? I'm 50 years old. I got to start
Yeah.
thinking about
Think of the future.
semi-retirement.
Suck will last
Yeah.
forever, dude.
That's right.
What is your stretch goal with the kayak? I feel like you've talked about this, like going to the island or
Yeah, that's it. So, that's a time consuming. So it turns out I'm only new to the kayaking thing, and it's you're not that fast on a kayak. Like I'm not that fast. So it's like, oh, if I want to go to the island and back, I need like a lot of time.
Yeah,
you know what I
right.
mean? So I'm kind of building my way to that and scheduling that. And next summer I hope to make the trip.
I can just picture that one section of Hanlon's Point that's sometimes in the news, and you show up in your kayak.
It's
like,
gonna
who's
happen,
this
buddy.
guy with his camera, like doing a selfie on the? So inappropriate.
So thanks again for the kayak, and just know it cost you some,
It cost us some
Toronto Mike
content.
episodes. But I'm quality over quantity.
Absolutely.
Kind of guy.
The quality did not.
And how
suffer.
many episodes did you say I did?
44.
So in 3 months I did 44.
Yeah.
Like that sounds like enough.
It's a lot of episodes.
Thank you.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Those two AI creatures on that the worst podcast were just floored by the level of content.
It's
So.
100%. 100%.
That's embargoed. I don't want to hear any
That's
more
right.
about the
That's
AI.
right.
The AI episode is for the next
I
episode.
have many thoughts.
So how does this work? You drop some. Do you have more stats?
I got more. I got more.
Okay. Then we're all going to just discuss.
Then we'll just have
this
a free
is the
for
big
all.
segment. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tyler.
So 44 episodes, 59 guests across those 44 episodes, 28 first timers. So some notable first timers.
Okay, slow it down. I'm just trying to
Sure.
drink it in here.
Yeah.
Okay, so 28 of the 44 were first timers.
28 of the 59 guests
59 guests
were first timers.
Okay. Oh, right, because I did these Christy Pitts and things.
Yeah, there were some gang episodes in there.
Right. The Christy Pitts would be like a bunch in there.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
There were,
That-
if I'm right, there were 2 of them. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
looking at this. Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah. So 28 first timers, some notable first timers that we'll talk about a little bit more, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Midge Ure,
Yeah.
Steve Kane,
Wow.
the rock and roll president, or the last punk rock president, I guess.
Right.
Carol Off from CBC, formerly of CBC.
That's a big one.
Super agent Lee Steinberg.
Yeah, we got to talk about that.
Yeah. Ed Sousa. So some really strong first timers. Bob Willett, who we were just talking about, the lovely Bob Willett,
Good dude.
became the 6th member of the 30 timer club.
Okay, this is like when Shohei Ohtani became a 50-50
That's
guy.
right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Rob Pruce passed Hebsy for 7th place on the all-time list.
Good for you, Robbie.
Yeah. And then some repeat eps. So obviously Rob and Bob did their 3 toasts. And then there were only 3 other people who had 2 episodes. 2 of them are me and Cam. And then, of course, we had the return of Retro Ontario, Hall of Famer Retro Ontario, for 2 episodes.
Right.
2 very stellar episodes, which I'm sure we'll talk about. We also had 3 Kick Out the Jams episodes. It's been a bit of a slow, fallow year for Kick Out the Jams episodes.
And they're probably long gone from Spotify at this point.
Probably. Yeah. So those
Who
are the...
who are the jam kickers?
Oh, God damn it. That's
Well,
the only
one of
thing
them
I don't have.
one of them is fairly recent. I can tell you one was a jam kicking from Cameron Carpenter.
Yes, Cameron Carpenter, Marcia Young. Yeah. Marcia.
I screwed that up.
It's
didn't
hard to-
I
it's
thought
hard
that
to
might
say.
be the opening clip. Okay,
Yeah.
Marcia. Young.
Oh, and Ed Sousa was the other one.
Okay.
All right.
I should do more, right?
You should do more. They're fun.
Okay, but even though that's so again, if you're a Toronto Mike listener and you're listening to podcasts on Spotify, get off. I don't know if I ever closed the loop on this point. stop using Spotify. There are so many better podcast apps / aggregators that don't seem to have a big issue with the fact that Marcia Young came on Toronto Mic'd and kicked out the jams.
What are the biggest ones? Because I know Stitcher is gone, right?
Stitcher's gone.
But like kind of I don't even know what's called Apple Podcasts, like just the native default, I assume, and Google Podcast is still around.
So Apple Podcasts is a good one. iPhone people often like it. And now it works pretty much like the app in the browser, which is a new enhancement they made. So Apple Podcasts is not bad. I still swear by my app of choice, which is called Podcast Addict, and I use the free version, and I have nothing but positive things to say about that. It does the job nicely for me, and that's how I listen to my podcasts. But there are a lot of apps out there if you go hunting. Spotify is not a good one because very few Toronto Mic'd episodes will survive.
I just find, I don't know, like I think it's good for music. I think it's kind of shitty for podcasts somehow. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know why.
Well, there's so in bed with the music companies. I mean, if I play a little bit of Whitney Houston in the opening theme, the algorithm detects it, and then it's like they say, hey, we're removing this, and it's like, okay, peace out. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, this is just frustrating as far as I'm concerned.
It's a world we live in.
All right, back to you, Tyler, and then let me know when
so
you
that's the sum total of the fun facts that I have, or the facts for the quarter. So I wanted to open it up for some chat just about
Should I do more Toronto Mike? Like, is this a bad trend?
I don't think it's a bad trend. I think you should. I've always said to you should do fewer episodes because certainly from an advertising perspective, it's
the same money.
It's the same money. So, why not maximize your time? Feel free to explore the universe of cycling, of kayaking, take care of yourself, your mind, your body, and it only makes the other episodes stronger.
Music to my ears.
And Mike, I feel like you're at a lot of events in the quarter. Like you're a real man about town.
You're out there.
Yeah.
One event I was at was a mid-year concert with Chalk Circle, and I was there with you, Cam Gordon.
I know, that was a great show. And again, we saw some FOTMs there. Again, other Cam was there.
Cam
Carpenter. We saw Michael Williams.
That's right.
Which is good. Actually, I have some episodes, and that's actually the first one I want to shout out.
Okay, go ahead.
And I don't know if I've been in, but I just want to bring it up again. Ronnie's Local in Kensington we went to. We had a GLB on the patio before we started getting rain. I'd never been there. I just want to give a shout out to Ronnie's Local because I feel like it's one of the few institutions that is still with us.
It's a great Kensington
in terms of
bar.
places you can go.
Great place to grab a GLB.
Yeah. What did you think of that mid-year concert? Him playing along to like his laptop. Not dissimilar as like if Tyler came on stage with like this computer and he's saying along. What did you think of that show?
You know what?
Band in a Box.
Mixed feelings. It feels like a bit of a cheat. Like
bit of a cop out.
A bit of a cop out because basically some guy is basically got a laptop and he's firing off everything but the vocals is already. I mean, I think he had keyboard in front of him mid.
Yeah,
right? He was adding some keys, and of course he was singing live. But everything else was like basically an MP3 file that this guy was playing.
Yeah,
and I didn't dig it. Like, I mean, I thought he was great singing, and I'm glad I saw mid-year, and it was a good, nice venue. It was at the Elma Combo, everybody. But it doesn't seem like
feels
that's
a little cold.
It's almost like karaoke, maybe.
I think if I were him, I would tweak it a bit because he was very open. A Band in the Box, make it more like an evening of stories and song with the great mid-year.
Yeah.
I remember before she passed, B. Arthur came to town and did something similar. It was like an evening of talk and song at the Royal Alex
the Shoppers Drug Mart.
Yeah, at the Shoppers Drug Mart at Cummer Plaza. She was up there. I'll see. But I think maybe more that approach because he's fucking charming. That guy.
Agreed.
Very lovable. Has some great stories.
And he was a great episode.
Yeah, just a good dude. Has some good stories. Like he was in what? Like he was in Thin Lizzy. Am I wrong?
You are correct.
Yeah, he was in Thin Lizzy. He's in Ultravox. He's he fucking wrote Do They Know It's Christmas, which they didn't play. I feel like we left a little early, did we not?
You know what? We did leave a little early, and then I went to setlists.fm or whatever, and I checked it out, and I see his set lists are always identical, and I'm wondering if that's because of the way the files are on this laptop.
I think that's
like he doesn't mix and match. You can see the Tragically Hip 10 times, and it's 10 quite different set lists. Same with Pearl Jam, same with a lot of these big bands like that.
Midge isn't going to the top of the stairs and cutting new.
But Cam and I did have a discussion, I think, over our Great Lakes beer there, is that, we were seeing him in, was it August? So we're seeing a summer show And Cam did think he might play Do They Know It's Christmas.
But it's kind of weird because I mean it's easily his most like well-known song that he's been involved in.
But I just couldn't imagine
mile.
him singing "Do They Know It's Christmas" in August, like not even mid-year.
I think I used the analogy I heard when Paul McCartney headlined Coachella. He did play a wonderful Christmas time in it, which is just weird. So you never. I also want to give a shout out. I did listen to the Ed Sousa episode, and I just think he's cool. Like he's
a good guy.
Doing
he's living
his thing.
the dream, right?
Yeah.
But if your music came out on January 1st, 1990, he's not going to fuck
Get the
with
fuck
it,
out of
right?
here.
Yeah.
It's truly 80s or get the fuck out. He hated the Bare Naked Ladies, for example.
I feel like even when he booked the Escape Club, like that was like getting a bit too close.
Was it you,
I was
Tyler?
at that show.
You were at that show.
Yeah. It was. I only knew their one song.
Yeah, Wild Wild West.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that guy was charming too. He had some good stories and opened it up to the crowd. Like it's a very intimate event.
The reason I like what Sousa's doing, because I can see us doing the exact same thing with the 90s.
Yeah.
Like he's doing it for the 80s. Soon we can do it for the 90s.
Sure.
Like I kind
Why
of
not?
dig the cut of his jib.
Where are we going to book him? We're going to book him in the GLB stage.
Palma's Kitchen, GLB Brewery. We got to think outside the box.
There you go. Well, Mike, I
living in a box.
I think we actually talked about this on the patio at Ronnie's, where that show took place, and then like 2 weeks after, you had the co-headlining tour at the Budweiser stage, Live and Stone Temple Pilots.
Right.
So you got Stone Temple Pilots, the whole band except the charismatic lead singer, that's the only guy anyone cares about, is dead.
Right.
And then Live, the complete opposite. You got Ed, speaking of Ed, not Ed Sousa, Ed Kowalczyk.
Yeah.
And then like a bunch of hired hands because he's like, they're in lawsuits.
Right.
It's like, I'd almost rather see an evening with Ed Kowalczyk than quote unquote Live or quote unquote Stone Temple Pilots. And I feel like us Gen X types or late Gen X types are moving into that era where more of the concerts we're going to see are like that one person from that one band versus the actual band.
The great debate, and we can have it briefly right now, but are you there to see would you go see the Tragically Hip with a different lead singer, right? More likely, and that's a bad example because
if it was
Forrest no longer with us. Yeah. Right. If it's Danny Graves, as I pitched to Lanois. But, are you the guy, like what's a bigger draw? Stone Temple Pilots with a different lead singer, or Live with the original lead singer but a different band? I think the Live one is better.
Yeah, no, it kind of depends on the band though, because say it was like a band with like Rolling Stones, like Keith and Mick. Well, what if like one of them still in the band, and like it would be insane not to have like Mick Jagger there, but like Keith Richards to a lot of people is the Rolling Stones. Whereas like Live, like who's one other guy in Live?
Very few people.
Well, Alice in Chains is a a good example. Okay,
that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one
because it's the dude's. What's his name again?
Lane Staley.
Or Jerry Cantrell.
Jerry Cantrell. So it's Jerry Cantrell who's still there. Like it's his band. They replaced Lane. I've seen them with the new singer. Yeah. Like I feel like that's kind of a good example where you can get behind a band.
Like high marks for that band. I feel like the people actually. It'll be interesting because Linkin Park has the new singer, and I see they're going out on tour, and I think it's a female this time.
And there's already been some backlash about that.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. But
she's a Scientologist. Is that possible?
Oh, okay.
There's some controversy.
Something's going on.
I can't remember.
So I don't know. I mean, I feel like we're heading into that with all our favorite '90s acts. But yeah, Mitch, your band in a box.
So
different type of show.
I'm glad. I mean, first I didn't pay for my ticket, right? So it was
that's the main thing.
Great night. We had an Octopus Wants to Fight. Good company, and I was happy to be there, and I had a great bike ride home.
That's the dream.
I was gonna say the bike, because we went opposite directions, both us into the rain. It was so humid that night. It was glorious, like in August. It was just
a great Toronto night.
Loved it.
Lots going on here. Should I play your clip, Tyler?
So I just wanted to shout out a couple of episodes, and then we can maybe get into those clips. A few episodes that I loved. Midyear was definitely one of them. Very charming guy. Lots of great stories. I really loved the Robert Fisher episode.
Absolutely. I thought it was epic.
Yeah, it was fantastic. He was out of fucks to give, and he just laid it all on the table.
No, that was a great guest.
Yeah, he was fantastic. Blair Richard Martin, the Raving Mojos.
I'm glad you're bringing this one up.
Yeah,
I feel like
that on my list.
The cherry pickers are going to skip Blair Richard Martin because they're like, who the fuck is this guy? And I did some, advanced scouting because the reason this came to be is because you guys mentioned Steve Kane made his Toronto Mike debut, and Kane in passing drops this little nugget. His favorite band of all time is the Raving Mojos. And guess what I'm thinking to myself as he says this? I'm not sure I know the Raving Mojos. That's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
How do I not know Steve Kane's favorite band, which is a Toronto band? Like, and I was then I talked to a mutual friend, and I was sort of given an update on maybe that Blair Richard Martin might not be up to an episode of Toronto Mike. He had some struggles and addiction, etc. Although he's cleaned himself up, but then I kind of just went at him anyways, and I'm like, hey, do you want to chat? And better than advertised, I thought he was fantastic. He was lucid. He had great stories.
Super engaging.
And now I know, basically, if you're looking for the history of the Raving Mojos, Steve Kane's favorite band of all time,
You got it.
one-stop shopping at Toronto Mike.
Yeah.
You're not going to get this anywhere else.
I feel like that's an example, a perfect example of a band just existing at the wrong time. Like they probably would have fit beside Teenage Head, late 70s, and then 90s, like garage rock type thing. But they were like a kind of an 80s band, right?
Super early 80s, right?
Yeah.
And also, you can't go get the Raving Mojos CD or whatever.
No.
Like there is no recorded, even on YouTube searching, like you get some live stuff from some reunion live recordings or whatever, but it's really difficult to find a studio recording of Raving Mojos.
Yeah.
Like it's lost to time. So if you weren't there, like that's why I feel like I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Okay, shout out to brother Bill. I wasn't there, so it's like I need to talk to this guy while we capture this now. Like I feel like that's the episode that best explains why Toronto Mike exists.
Exactly. This is the stuff not to pump your tires too.
Just pump the fuck out of my tires.
This
man.
this is the great thing about Toronto Mike is that you capture these stories, you archive them, you are becoming, if you aren't already, the sort of one-stop shop for this archive of incredible stories about the Toronto music scene, the Toronto art scene.
Did this come up? I just quickly searched, do Raving Mojos have a Wikipedia entry? They do not, but this is interesting. Alana Miles' guitar player, Kurt Schaefer, was in the Raving Mojos.
Well, we mentioned that in the episode.
There you
right.
go.
Yeah.
Sorry, Alan Biles.
Biles. Yeah.
Sorry.
It all comes back to Biles.
All right, shout out to FOTM Christopher Ward.
The Black Velvet shot at the Buckham Ranch near Peterborough.
Okay.
The video, that is.
That's a mind blow right there. That's a number one US Billboard Hot 1 hit. Number one hit.
A couple other episodes I wanted to shout out. The two Retro Ontario episodes. I know we'll talk a little bit more about Harry Forbes and the Much Music 40th anniversary episode, which I absolutely loved.
Thank you. That was meant a lot to me, and we learned from the Harry Forbes retrospective to maybe bring down Ed's mic a little bit, because he came in a little hot on that one, and we got it right.
Yelling at that Magic Shadows.
Well, he was a little overmodulated because he was remote, and then we got it all figured out in time to record what I think is the definitive origin story of Much Music, and I was very proud of it. But it's all Ed, right? Like I couldn't do it without him.
He was the
brought
guy.
the heat.
He was the guy to have.
We still need that Toronto Mike Universe field trip to the Ed Conroy compound. Where's he?
Port Perry, right?
Yeah, Port Perry, to see all his like memorabilia.
Yeah, I'd sign up for that.
I would totally go.
Tour.
Are you sure it's not Port Hope?
I thought it was Port Perry.
It might be Port Perry. I don't know.
Yeah.
One of the ports.
Yeah.
Shout out to Wheels' dad.
The east side of Toronto.
So I don't know if you guys had any. Cam, you might have had some.
I have some just really quick ones. I feel like you have one of these a quarter, Mike, with just like a what the fuck. And actually, you
Can
sort
I
of
guess who's going to be?
well, you sort of had two, because you had the Jerry Maguire guy.
Yeah, Lee Steinberg.
Yeah, which I didn't listen to, but Jack Rabbit.
Oh yeah.
When you had that, I'm like, oh, that fucking guy. You know, shout out to Chuggo.
You want to know the origin of these things? So basically, I've been getting an email for a while from a listener named Jim Romanko. Jim Romanko will be at TMLX 16 on Monday, so I'll introduce you to him.
Yeah.
But he was pitching me on Jack Rabbit for a while.
It's like,
and I don't know if it ever I just didn't know this name.
Yeah.
I didn't know the name.
Well, this is a good segue into a bit of Toronto.
Hey.
You know, we just talked about Ronnie's Local, one of the few places that are gone. Here's like another piece, and here's for Jeremy Hopkin. Maybe he's seen this. That really big magazine store beside Lee's Palace is closing.
The Press International.
Yeah, so when I think of like the big takeover, that magazine that Jack Rabbit edited, that's like the type of thing that, you know, if you saw Cam Gordon when I lived in the annex around that's the type of thing I'd be reading at that store, because you could just go and browse there. But yeah, RIP, shout out to Relief Funeral Home. Press International is closing. Apparently like a like some ridiculous like rent hike, like everywhere else in the
$4,000 a
city.
month or something.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I did the Jack
Real
Rabbit
shame.
episode.
Yeah.
And
That
it
was fun.
from Left Fielder, and that was all because of this guy, Jim Romanko. Because his pitch, I didn't completely ignore it. You know what I mean, Cam?
There you go. Yeah, and I feel like there's at least one or two Wikipedia
And the Lee
updates
Steinberg
on that.
one, like a cold email of a guy who said, "Hey, the NFL season's starting." Lee
Right in your wheelhouse.
Yeah,
Gotta
I
get
know.
the
Lee Steinberg
gridiron.
is available to discuss the odds for Week 1.
Absolutely.
And I
Yeah.
basically was like,
Let's do it.
I have no interest
It's a fucking
in
Cash
the odds
Palmer
for Week
over
1.
here.
Yeah, right. Cash Palmer almost came
That's
on
right,
Toronto
with
Mike.
Simmons, right?
Steve Simmons was going to make that happen.
Where's
and then he
Cash
wasn't in
Palmer?
condition to do it. I think this is a public information that he had some tough times and was,
Yeah.
I don't know, Steve was helping him out.
Well, he and Steve did like some TV thing, I thought, where Steve was sort of helping get Cash back on his feet.
Definitely there's something going on there, but
Yeah.
he never did make his way to the basement.
That's unfortunate.
But Lee Steinberg, I said, hey, I'll chat with Lee, but like I'm not going to follow your blueprint. I'm going to do
No,
my
no.
thing.
Saints,
And-
Bucks, who you got?
Yeah, and next thing you know it, I've got a Zoom. I've created a Zoom link, and I'm told, okay, Lee will meet you there. And it happened, and it's kind of completely out of left
Yeah.
field, but I'm
wild.
glad I did it. How
Yeah.
come you're not listening to that one, Cam?
I'm not an NFL guy.
Well, we
But
didn't talk-
I know it's. I've never seen Jerry Maguire either. so,
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Anyway, other quick ups
That's a
just to
mind
move it
blow.
along. Fergus Hambleton.
The satellites.
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah, wonderful guy.
overdue.
Like all the music. He sort of reminded me of Michael Williams. It's like every style
Yeah.
of music
Yep.
has like generations. Just cool. Like he played the first Edge Fest with the satellites, very quiet. But it was also like the music you'd hear at the dentist's office. You
Yeah.
know, give me some kind of sign, girl.
Yeah.
And it's too late to turn back. now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and just cool. And he's like on the Danforth. He plays at like Noonan's. Like he's kind of just around, that guy.
Yeah.
I like him.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Really quickly, I know you had a couple of Chrissy Piss episodes.
Yeah.
I bring it up every time he's on. Ben Rayner. It's just
yeah.
always good to
I
hear
love Ben
Ben's
Rayner.
voice. Good spirit.
I
I hope
enjoyed
he's
my
doing
Christy
okay.
Pitts episodes because you got this eclectic. I just looked at the lineup. The first one from this quarter: Mike Richards,
Yeah,
Rich Butler,
Yep.
huge.
okay,
huge.
East York legend Rich Butler, Blair Packham,
Yeah.
Mark Weisblot,
His
Joel
own, yeah.
Goldberg,
Oh my God.
Robert Lawson, the VP of Sales, and my favorite guest of the day, Maya the mascot.
What
That's right.
a fantastic
It
lineup!
was
Like
great.
all A-listers there. And by the way, I see the Jitters are playing again.
We were just talking about that before.
Yeah.
Blair
Which is very
Packham will
cool.
be at TMLX
Yeah,
16.
I think he
We
should
can ask
compass
him.
for
Yeah,
get us on the list for that.
for sure.
Let's make
Yeah.
that happen. Just the second Christy Pitts episode of this past
Yeah.
quarter. So I won't run down. Ben Rayner was at that one. My buddy Elvis, Leslie Taylor, Rick A, Ruth K, who I met at Cam Gordon's wedding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ruth, I thought that was a mind
best
blow.
friends of Brett the Hitman Hart.
You
That's
never
right.
know
Legit.
who's going to show
Legit.
up, right? But I
Yeah.
want to shout out a guy who jumped on the mic and we had a good chat. His name is Blake Bell.
Fuck yes.
Does that
Oh,
name
yeah.
mean
Hell
anything to you?
Yeah.
It does now.
Today in Dave Steeb history.
Love that account.
Like I feel like that's the hidden gem of the quarter.
Yeah.
Move over mid-year. Blake Bell from Today and Dave Steeb History.
Yeah.
He heard me say I'm going to be at Christy Pitts, and he showed up and went on the mic, and it was amazing.
I will say that account was discussed multiple times at the offices of Twitter Canada. That's
Yeah.
some fans
Fantastic.
coming from within the house, some baseball fans in there. We used to talk about it. It was a great
so
account.
Good. So good.
All right, so can I just do quick hits, very quick hits?
Please.
One of them I'm saving. 'Cause I think your clip is going to tie to this one, so I'm going to
Possibly.
save that one for
Okay.
a minute here. Okay. But I just want to say I thoroughly enjoyed Gary Chowan on Toronto Mike.
Yeah.
It was just all killer, no filler.
Yeah. It was really the prototype for the word association game.
You're right. You're 100%
Because I know
right.
you did it with Peter Gross, but really you did it first with Gary.
Well, I did it with Peter Gross just so I could do it with Leona Boyd,
Yeah.
but you're right. I did kind of do it with Gary Chowan. You're 100% right.
Sorry, which one was this?
He's a hairstylist.
Oh, fuck,
He
right. Yes.
shares personal hairstylist.
Yeah.
But
I need to
he's
listen to that.
So connected to everything.
I'll
Yeah.
talk about it more in a sec.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Okay. I want to shout out because I saw Hayden at High Park several times this summer.
Sure.
And he revealed to me in the final game where my son played his son and my son won. Yay. Hayden revealed
Suck
to me
it,
that
Hayden.
he finally heard my episode about Take. I did an episode last quarter about
He
Hayden's
listened.
Take. He listened because he had already told me that Noah had listened and loved it. Noah Mintz. And Noah said you should listen. And he finally got to it. And he said he couldn't believe anyone would ever do an episode about Take. He said it was very good and he was very flattered and he enjoyed it. But he said he couldn't believe anyone would waste their time with episode on Take. And I said, then you don't know Toronto Mike, because it could be a fucking mini series on Take.
Yeah.
As far as I'm
And Mike, again, I know this. I think this is a Q4 event, but the fact you were not invited to the unveiling of the Much Music stamp.
Insane.
Did that happen already?
Yeah, like it happens. Like
maybe my invitation's in the mail.
Oh, there you go. But like that's like fucking. That's like a shame in my profession of PR that like you wouldn't be on the invite list.
I deserve that for completely ignoring so much stuff. But I want to shout out the Clive A. Smith episode.
Oh yeah.
Nirvana founder, and Stu Stone reminded me he owes most of his career to Clive A. Smith.
There you
stuff,
go.
So. And somebody pointed out in the live stream we were talking about age differences between couples, and there's 25 years difference between Clive A. Smith and Melody Melanie.
Yeah. He was so casual about everything. Like he's just like they sound like they were literally just like kind of fucking around. And that cartoon, what's a cartoon like the kind of
Rock and Roll? Which one?
What the one?
Oh, the book he gave me?
Yeah, like I thought they did some like big cartoon in 1983 that was a flop.
Rock and
Rock and Roll. Yeah.
Is that what's just called Rock and Roll?
We'll just keep saying it till it sinks in. Rock and Roll.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a huge bust, and then they were saved. What saved them again? Care Bears saved them.
Right.
Care
yeah.
Bears.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Clive A. Smith, really good with that guy. The most spontaneous episode in the history of Toronto Mike happened last quarter when I was recording with Donovan Bailey, his show.
Oh yeah.
And then I said, hey, I got a question about Michael Johnson or whatever. And I said, can we do a quick record? And he goes, okay. Like we just did it.
Yeah.
Like, it was
Because
fantastic.
Michael Johnson made some shitty comment at the Olympics, right?
He's like, yeah, like Donovan was in anything after 96 and I kept winning medals. So like,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I want to shout out Peter Gross, who did make one appearance in that quarter. And he booked his mother on Toronto Mike, Marilyn Gross, and I was very excited because she's 101 years old, and I had questions for a 101-year-old, and Peter was going to be with us. And then at some point, Peter's mom, Marilyn, got cold feet and realized she made it to 101 without being famous, and she was worried being on Toronto Mike might make her too famous.
Well.
So she politely withdrew, and there will be no Marilyn Gross
Marilyn,
episode
I have
of
some
Toronto
news
Mike.
for you.
I feel like the fake question that people always like spitball. It's like when you talk to someone over 100 is, what was the Great Depression like? It's just like
I think Mike had a whole segment planned
it's
for
like
that.
it's depressing.
I was
It
going to do
sucked.
90 minutes on the Great Depression. There was
like?
a surprise toast reunion of the OG
Yes.
Toast crew.
Oh, right.
Tell me if I'm ever stepping on any toes, because I don't know what's coming from Tyler. But yeah, that was you, Cam Gordon, and Stu Stone. We didn't tell anybody it was happening. We just said, hey, there's going to be a surprise episode at whatever it was, 8 p.m. this night.
That's
and we
right.
did it.
Yeah.
And how did it feel to do a Toast episode
it was
again?
good to be back. I feel like Stu was a bit less shtick this time.
Oh.
I think ever since he's been on
growing
that treadmill or whatever, he's on the stair climber.
Right.
Taking things a little more
Yeah,
seriously.
like and he's looking good. He's looking healthy, very fit. You know,
Yeah.
he looked good at the movie premiere. So yeah,
it was so fun
always
to hear that, and you guys didn't. It was like you just recorded
It's
last
like riding
week.
a
Didn't miss
bike.
a beat.
Yeah.
We were exhausted by the end. Of,
you guys were
our run. So.
Yeah.
But I think I got a little guff from my other co-stars of the Toast, Coy and Vance, Bob Willett and Rob Pruce, because I didn't tip them off, and I wonder in hindsight whether I should have given them advance warning, but I didn't want to tell anybody. I
They're
wanted
big
it to be a
boys.
big
They can
Maybe
handle
that's
it.
why he thinks they don't like him. Like
and as I
there's some,
told
like,
them,
inside job.
it's not like I took an episode away from them and gave it to you guys. I just added you in, so they still got their monthly.
Yeah.
one time only,
Bonus toast.
one night only.
Bonus toast.
Quick shout out to Chris Burkett, who made his Toronto Mike debut. That man produced Nothing Compares to You for Sinead O'Connor, and I think that's a big fucking deal.
Unreal, as heard at Donald Trump rallies.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
Wow. And
Brutal.
Dr. Cliff Redmond is another name nobody
Redford.
will know. Redford?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right, because I asked him if he was related to Robert
You
Redford,
did.
not
Yeah.
Redmond. Okay,
He was
that's,
fun.
Yeah, I thought he was a good guest.
Yeah.
And the Kings came over. Bruce approved that
Right.
Mr.
Yeah.
Zero and David Diamond were
That's right.
fantastic, and we did a deep dive. Joel Greenberg came
Yeah,
on because I
my,
produced his podcast, and you have a connection, Tyler.
That's right. I took first year drama class from him at University of Waterloo.
What a small world,
Whoa.
right? Joel
Yeah.
Greenberg. People should subscribe to his podcast, which is called Life in Stages. Not to be confused.
good name.
Not to be confused with Brad Jones from Ridley Funeral Home. His podcast is called Life's Undertaking.
Yeah.
And Larry Fedorik's TMDS podcast is called Later That Same Life. So I now produce 3 shows of life in the subject line.
Yeah.
But Joel Greenberg, Life in Stages. We just dropped an episode this morning, the 4th episode. And the last episode of last quarter, and then I'll pass the baton Shout out to Donovan Bailey. I'll pass it back to Tyler. Katie Lore.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was a bit punchy that night.
You were punchy.
Yeah. And I've been told by Jesse Hirsch said that I had a rant at the end about...
A classic Toronto Mike rant.
And he said I should pull that and share that separately, which I might do, actually.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything about what I said, but because I didn't edit that show. He said it was a great rant, so I enjoyed my Katie Lore episode.
I forgot. We have a lexicon corner because I think we're going to talk about the worst podcast a little bit. I know Katie was involved.
Yeah, she produced that show.
Yeah, I would say like she seems like very nice.
Yeah,
like
then she quit.
Yeah. Well, I think they all did, but interesting. Like totally different universe than I feel like what you do. Like sort of her podcast world and your podcast world.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll get to that, right?
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Not good, bad, or otherwise. Just an
It's
observation.
just different.
Shapiro talk later, not to be confused with Shapiro talk. It's a different talk here. Okay.
All right.
Clip 2.
So just before we do that, let's do clip 2. We'll just throw it out there. Why not?
Now I need to play the John Gallagher clip, which is the reason I reached out to you. I'm like, why haven't I had Jeff Chalmers on the show? And then I heard him drop your name in this clip, which you're going to hear in the headphones right now.
Okay.
And then at the end of this, we're going to find out, is John Gallagher full of shit? Are Humble and Fred wrong? Look me in the eyes. You got beautiful eyes. You're going to be 100% honest with me after this clip. You're going to be 100% honest.
I know what the clip is. I know what the answer is.
Here we go.
And I'm okay. So it's 1990, and I'm having lunch at the Molson Indy with. Let me tell you another story about the Molson Indy and how Labatt's paid everyone at Key 107 $20,000. Paola lives, and I'll tell you the story real quick.
Yeah,
$20,000, not to mention Molson for an entire year. Toronto Indy, nah.
Wait, John.
Molson.
Labatt's gave you personally 20,000 Canadian dollars if you promise not to say the word Molson's for 1 calendar year.
Yes.
Wow.
And
Okay,
along
keep
with
going.
Jeff Connors and Donna Saker and Jeff Chalmers on the $20,000 on the barrel's head. Oh no.
All right, Jeff, I've been waiting months for this here.
I don't know, man.
Okay, what do you have to say about that clip I just played from John Gallagher?
I wasn't at Q. Well, I wasn't at Q in 1990. I was there in the mid 90s on the morning show with John. 93 to 96 was my tenure at that time, and it seems to me that was the Molson Indy back then.
Yeah, it was definitely the Molson Indy.
And we used to go down there. We had some boxes at times. We'd go down there and have a little race action and enjoy the day and stuff. But that's.
You're calling bullshit on that story.
I didn't.
Just like Humble and Fred did.
I'll just say I didn't receive. I didn't receive any money.
Okay, because he's specific. That's why you're on the show. I mean, I got to reach out to find Donna Saker. I think she's in Ottawa. I got to track her down.
Montreal, I believe.
Montreal. Okay, I got to track her down. But he sort of name checks. Obviously, I can't check with Scruff if he got $20,000. But John claims he got $20,000 for 1 year. They wouldn't even call it the Molson Indy. They'd have to call it the Toronto Indy because they couldn't say the word Molson on the air. But no one approached you with this, and no one gave you a penny. No one from Labatt's approached you to make some kind of a payola deal that John describes.
The stuff that John talks about, that's not the way I remember it.
Okay, thank you, Jeff, for coming by. I'll play you out now. Jeff Chalmers delivering the real talk. Bullshit.
Big time Lawson there.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Well, Lawson's back in my calendar because we're going to talk about some other stuff.
Oh my God! Talk about that fucking Randy Bachman
100%.
TikTok, please.
I'm doing that one for Ellen Zweig. Shout out to the worst podcast ever. All right. That was
hilarious.
So that no joke when John Gallagher told that story to me, which sounded too good to be true. He said the name Jeff Chalmers, and that's when I took the mental note, get Jeff Chalmers on Toronto Mike. And yeah, we did 90 minutes, and it was fantastic, and he really did have beautiful eyes. But it was all for that moment right there.
Yeah.
I was going to say with Gallagher, though, like, is he... God, I hate to put him in the category with a Randy Bachman or a Donald Trump. Like, they were kind of full of shit, but it's kind of just the shtick, and that's why people like them. Is it? Would you say
I'm a
put
big
all these
Gallagher
people
head.
together?
I'm a big fan of Gallagher, and he embellishes stories, and it's part of his
There's
charm.
probably a kernel of truth in there somewhere.
Yeah.
We got to find that kernel. Okay, that's for next quarter here. Okay, very good.
Okay. This next clip is from my personal favorite episode of the quarter. We've talked about it a couple times. I took a clip from it for the intro. Gary Chowan.
Oh, that's your favorite. Okay.
It was my favorite.
Let me play this and we'll talk on the
Yeah,
other side.
just play it.
What was Sonny like? He skied into a tree, right? This is the end of Sonny Bono.
Supposedly, yeah.
What do you know something else?
I
Because
can't.
that's what was
They
reported.
got better lawyers than I do.
Okay, so you have to do like that trick where you don't talk about Sonny, talk about Bobby, this friend of yours, Bobby. How did Bobby die?
Well, it was a little peculiar that, Sonny was a pretty good skier. He knew that terrain. He had skied there before. And, you just don't ski into a tree head first and die.
Maybe, yeah.
There is talk from a few people that something may have happened to him. I think Sonny
he was a congressman, right?
Well, Sonny was put there by certain people, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, listen, I watched The Sopranos. Wow. I got a feeling I know where this is going.
We can end it right there, yes.
Okay.
He was pretty well connected.
Don't stop believing. Boom!
Yeah.
Sonny hits the tree.
Well, Sonny couldn't do many favors for these people after a while.
What kind of guy was Sonny?
Not my favorite human being at all. Used to be Friday night poker games. The guy would cheat for a few bucks. He was not too well liked by a lot of people, Sonny. He just, listen, I admire the guy for what he did. He wrote some great songs, and he knew Cher was the meal ticket and he was the brains behind it all. But he screwed her over financially and everything at the end, and it wasn't pretty.
Wow.
You've turned me. I think Chowan was the best episode.
I actually haven't listened to this one too.
It's so good.
Okay.
It's just pound for pound.
God, I feel like I need like a secondary burner account for Wikipedia. I don't want to get whacked too. But.
I don't know about having a co-host of FOTMcast who didn't listen to all these episodes. You didn't listen to Lisa.
I listened to a lot of them.
Steinberg?
Come on.
Wow. Okay, but Gary Chowan was a great episode, and it's all killer, and that was a great little tidbit there.
Yeah, he talked. You asked him about Milton Berle. He had a run-in with Milton Berle. Told him to go fuck himself.
Yeah.
Do you know Danny Thomas? Or
probably.
He's that kind of guy.
He also coffee table. Is it true?
Yeah,
I'm sure that story's true.
Gary Chowan also didn't care for Steve Allen. Steve Allen was a very rude man.
Ooh. Right.
He
got wasted with Ed McMahon.
Yeah, it was really the
yes guy.
That's right. He got drunk with Ed McMahon.
Yes guy's Jim Taddy. He was. Jim Taddy's he's gonna send me a fucking invoice.
Tomato.
Thank you very much.
Cease and desist.
Great job, Gary Chowan.
How old is this guy?
He put him at like 70.
He's a youthful 70.
Yeah.
He's a young 70. He's still in Yorkville cutting hair. You cut your hair tomorrow.
That episode was recorded the same day we recorded the Q2 FOTMcast.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What?
And I didn't fall asleep on you.
Was he would he be someone who'd show up on like City Line or Fashion Television?
I don't think so.
Or what was his
No,
media
he was
profile? Why was
a lot of Asian court productions, so he'd be working for Bizarre is a good example.
Yeah.
If there's a guest on Bizarre, he'd be responsible for
like
their
everyone
hair.
coming through.
Yeah. Tyler Stewart was his driver as well.
That is you know what,
Very
Jerry
cool.
Chowan episode. I'm
Love it.
bumping it up in the rankings.
It was a very, very strong
best episode since Jerry Levitan.
Download it right now. Love it.
In fact, I can't talk about it because it's embargoed. But David Marsden was here yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We talked about Chris Shepard.
Oh.
Why did he disappear? Like, not many people do this. For 10 years now, he's been completely off the grid, and no one seems to know where he is. And he was a big fucking deal. Name someone else who did that. Like, this is very unique. And I ran by a story I heard, which I used the word allegedly, and I use it now. And I just asked, and again, this is embargoed. I can't talk about it yet. But Marsden gave me a look that said, Mike, you got that right, buddy.
Wow. Have you done a mockumentary about this?
I have an episode in the feed called Searching for Shep or something.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Because his last public appearance was on a show I produced called Humble and Fred.
Right.
And it was 10 years ago.
I think you are going to find.
Yeah, Cribs Canada. Even Cribs Canada was probably 14. Like he was living in King City or something. Like not that.
No, yeah. Well, anyway, we can't say too much without me being sized for cement shoes.
Okay.
But next quarter, maybe we can talk
Anyway,
about
and the other one is Rumble.
Well, that's a different.
Yeah,
we know Rumble was on the streets of Toronto.
Yeah.
There is a mockumentary about Rumble.
There is a mockumentary about Rumble, right? And I've been
Hope he's
told
doing well.
by DJ Ron Nelson that we have located Rumble and we're doing our best to help Rumble.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Shep doesn't want to be found, and I think if you don't want to be found,
You're not going to be found.
That's fine with me. We all have the right to disappear.
We do. We do.
Right to be forgotten.
Yeah, unless you owe me money, and then don't go anywhere. Okay, so Tyler, is there another clip from this segment?
No more clips in this segment. There are just a couple of little mop-up things that we should talk about. One is you were offered Sting as a guest.
Oh, yeah. Okay, there is some mop-up to do. I was offered Sting.
Yeah, talk about that if you would.
Yeah, so I was offered Sting as a guest. The end. No. And there was a caveat on the offer, which was I can't ask Sting, Gordon Sumner, about the Police.
Right.
And not TPS, okay. His band, The Police.
Sound of the Police.
And I thought it took me 8 seconds of thinking. That's how long I'm pretty good at thinking before I kind of get a headache.
It's dangerous.
And I said, okay, my first question's for Sting, if you were right here. I want to talk about the police picnic.
Yes.
Shout out to Gary Top. I'm moderating a panel discussion.
You got to talk about that.
On December, I'm going to get that. I got to find out. Don't quote me on this. I think it's December 1st.
I think you said December 1st.
It's at the concert hall. So it's at 888 Yonge.
How do you get tickets? Like what is this?
You know what?
But more on that soon.
Derek Emerson, who's an FOTM, seems to be running this thing, and I'm hoping they go public with all this info. Okay. I have the list of people confirmed for the panel discussion. It's a Gary Top book that's being launched. I can tell you some FOTMs are on the bill, and we'll be talking about the police.
What's this Sunday night? Is this Sunday night?
Is it?
Yeah, Sunday.
I'm going to check if it is December 1st. Okay.
It's the day after...
It might be an after. I got to find out when.
Yeah.
It is. Okay.
Anyway,
but that's happening.
I want to come see this.
Yeah, come. I mean, I'm going to be chatting up like Ivor Hamilton and all these interesting cats. Okay.
Very exciting.
So I would want to talk to Sting about the police picnic. I would it all comes back to the Garys. I would absolutely want to talk about those shows at Horseshoe Tavern when apparently 9 people were there before Roxanne breaks. We've talked about this with both Garys and stuff.
Yeah.
Like these are the things I'd want to focus in on. So the idea that I can't talk about the police, I would rather not talk to Sting.
Yeah.
I think it's unfortunate because it's not like you're going to be... Who's like the drummer from it?
Stuart Copeland.
Stuart, yeah, it's not like you can say, oh, why don't you guys get along? Like you're literally going to pinpoint on these like very local questions about...
But I was kind of offended because this in Toronto, Mike, like 2 things are true. One is I've never paid a penny for a guest because there's a podcast that I won't name the podcast, but there's a podcast I learned had an opportunity to have a guest, and they were ready to cut a check to this guest. Like you can do this. This is the thing. I don't know if we talk about this enough, but many podcasts you listen to, the guests are being paid to appear on the podcast.
Can I get a lasagna? Anyway, go on. I'm not kidding.
I'm gonna buy you food on Monday. That's for
thank
sure.
You.
Okay.
Bar snacks.
We're gonna talk. Okay. But I would never pay a penny for a guest. I'm just throwing it out there. If Sting wanted, I don't know, $100, he's not getting it. Okay. So I won't pay for a guest, and also I don't want to be told what I can or cannot. Like you need to trust that I'm gonna not go somewhere that's out of bounds. I am not gonna be told you can't talk to this guy about the big fucking band he was in. And I did tweet about this, and a few people are like, "You're stupid that you passed up a chance to talk to Sting."
Oh, boo-hoo.
And I was like, you talk to Sting. Like on your fucking podcast. I have the right on Toronto Mike not to talk to Sting because of that caveat.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
It's a basic human right.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna say this very sincere, Cam, coming out here. I think this shows the strength of your conviction of what you're doing here. Like I really do think that because we don't need another like sort of like fluffy celebrity interview with Stink. As I like to call him. And what was my second point?
You should also, you know what else I would talk about?
And how did this happen again? Like, what's the origin? Like, your publicist, like...
No, there's I don't have his name. I have to go to my Facebook messages. By the way, the worst way to communicate with me is Facebook Messenger. I'm just, if you had to rank the ways you can get in touch with me, Facebook Messenger is the absolute worst. I have an autoresponder on the Toronto Mike Facebook page that just basically says, I'm never going to see this. Write Mike at torontomike.com, and I promise I'll read it.
Yeah.
But, so I can't remember. It's somebody who is brokering this thing, friend of Sting, who listens to Toronto Mike. I'll call him a friend of Sting. So it was going to happen.
So tantric sex
it didn't happen.
enthusiast.
We're only talking Blue Turtles.
I would just want to talk about the police picnic.
Yeah.
I would want to talk about the Horseshoe Tavern gigs and The Simpsons.
Yeah. I do kind of like that Field of Gold or whatever that.
Oh yeah.
That's a good song.
Sure.
I like that. Yeah.
You know, I respect the man's talents, but I never in my life have owned a Sting CD.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair.
Did
have
those?
You, Cam?
No. Did those like 90s albums, those weren't on CFNY, were they? CFNY?
No.
Oh God, no.
come on. Sting on CFNY.
How about We'll Be Together Tonight? Like that era of Sting. That probably was on CFNY
Maybe,
for sure.
maybe.
Yeah.
Well, you talking about the mistake of '88? Like, there's a whole period where they did top 40 stuff.
But like his first solo album after The Police was
Blue
probably
Turtles.
on like alternative.
What year is
radio.
it?
That was
86,
85, 86.
Oh, anything, possibly.
I bet it was.
Yeah.
on.
I
think it was 85.
I got to get Ivor Hamilton on line 2.
Yeah.
He'll be at that event on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's on the
okay.
panel. He's confirmed.
Put on the list. Yeah.
That'll be my first question. Did you play Sting on CFNY?
Tyler and Cam won.
One other very important thing that I think we should talk about, and this may take a little bit of time as well, is we lost an FOTM recently and an EOTM.
So this is our third FOTM cast. So that's all of 2024. We're in mid October, and it is, a sad fact that we did lose an FOTM, but there are like 1,000 FOTMs, and we only lost one. Like on the positive side, like this is the first death we've had to deal with on FOTM cast.
It is, yeah.
And I pulled a clip. Do you guys want to hear a little bit of Bill Viggers on Toronto Mike?
Absolutely.
I do.
Okay, let's listen.
By Montreal, and I hope you're listening, I don't know if people realize what happened. I was so impressed with him. I got to know him quickly. He was easy to get to know. He was, when he wasn't running, he was that look of strain and concentration and pain on his face. At the end of the day, it was a smile. He was relaxed. He was fun to be around. But it was his determination. It was what he was going through that impressed me the most. And by Montreal, we run into Montreal and we had to go back out and cover some miles that he had to skip to pull into downtown Montreal in time. And we're driving down René Lévesque Boulevard, I remember. And I just turned to him and I said, I love you. And I said, I don't know if you understand that. And he just looked at me and he smiled and he went, yeah, I know. And that's, I wear my heart on my sleeve, my Irish background, so I'm not afraid to let my emotions be known. And that love for him grew right until the very end. Oh God, telling that story, Mike, I've lost my concentration.
Well, Bill, let me say this. I'm listening to you tell that story and I can feel myself tearing up. Like I'm actually, the whole story in your book as well, I find it so emotional. This it's a beautiful story and just a life cut, like what a wonderful life cut so short. He was just a kid. I have a 21-year-old son. I mean, he was just a kid and we're going to, walk through this a little bit, but I don't know if I can hold it together for this conversation. And I'm wondering, do you find it emotionally draining? Now that you've written the book, you're doing press for the book, you must be telling these stories dozens and dozens of times. How are you able to revisit it so often? I'm just curious how this is on your mental health.
I have to tell you that every interview is different. This is different than any interview I've done. I have to tell you right now. I usually break down like you do. Sometime during the interview, I try and hold it together. Writing the book was incredibly emotionally draining. I realized writing the book that I was having to address things that I thought I had addressed 43 years ago. I would be writing it and it was just all flowing out. I never took any pictures. I never did any diary. People would say, ask me, are you doing that? And I said, no, I'm making a movie up in my head that's going to last forever. And in reality, that's exactly what happened. And that's how I wrote the book. So I would be telling a part of the story and I would be sobbing and crying, to tell you the truth, at my computer. And emotionally drained, and I would come out in my living room and I'd sit on the couch, and it was my wife, Sherry McDonald. Actually, she was the one who finally talked me into writing it. And I just, twice I remember just slumping on the couch, and she just come over and she came over and put her hand on my shoulder and said, you're doing a good thing.
That's Bill Viggers talking about his relationship with Terry Fox.
Some heavy stuff there.
The Marathon of Hope, 1980. Bill was Terry's confidant. Yeah, so Bill wrote a book about it, and then because he wrote that book, he became available to chat with, and I spent at least an hour with Bill, and just like you heard it there, that's what we did for an hour. We talked about Terry Fox, and I was very sad to learn Bill Viggers passed away this past, just about a week ago. He passed away, and yeah, my condolences to everyone who knew and loved Bill Viggers.
When was that episode recorded?
13 months ago.
13 months. Wow.
Because I was promoting my Terry Fox run of 2023.
Yeah. I will say in like a country where, I feel like we have a very short history, and, a lot of stuff I feel like people think is quite unremarkable. I mean, that seems like one of the, highest approval ratings of something that I feel like everyone can like get something out of.
We talked earlier
needless to say.
We talked about Gord Downey off the top.
Yeah.
Gord Downey, Terry Fox, like this is some rarefied air.
I'd say being like Terry Fox, because that's literally just getting around. That's totally relatable content, and just like I don't know. It's also you guys are a bit older than me. Like I sort of didn't experience it in real.
Easy.
But do you guys have like memories of when it was happening? Because I don't. I was born in 77, so
well,
I have
think
no
this is where
sentient
Tyler and
memories
I
of
were
it.
both 50 years old, and I big time memories. I remember when he had to stop running.
Yep.
I remember and talking to Bill because Bill gave it some great context, is that Canada was kind of slow to jump on this this Marathon of Hope wagon, and when Terry got to Quebec, because he's going east to west, right?
Sure.
So he's going through Quebec like tapped out. Like the I guess each province had their own Canadian Cancer Foundation or whatever for each province, and Quebec, because Terry couldn't speak French, Quebec just said, we're not like buying it. We're not doing this thing. So he kind of runs through Quebec with very little fanfare.
God.
And then Bill joins him, because Bill was the guy for Ontario's chapter of the family. So Bill jumps in that van when he gets to the Ontario border, and everything starts cooking. Like he gets to meet, Daryl Sittler.
Oh, I remember when they came to they came to Toronto. What a huge deal that was.
And Bill explains in great detail what came, like the radio station got behind, like everything that came together, and Bill got to meet, like I said, Daryl. And there's that great story of Daryl Sittler running with Daryl Fox, who is Terry's 17-year-old brother, and divvying up the chicks that they would pass. Like the young chicks went to Daryl Fox. Yeah, this story's in there.
Wow.
But it's like it all humanizes everybody. But
shout out to Jeff Woods.
And we all Jeff Woods, another great episode from the past quarter.
There you go.
We met the target.
Blue Hotel material.
And
Love
who edited that book, right?
Who?
Bob Wagner, who was at TMLX.
Right. Oh, yeah, of course.
Our very own Bob Wagner.
Yeah, shout out, and he was on Bob's Basement, so shout out to the Bobs.
Anyway.
But as you know, I don't have to tell you that Terry Fox ends his run in Thunder Bay, so he never gets past Ontario, but it all happens in Ontario, and 1980, and that episode ends with a song that probably gets it booted from Spotify, but I played Willie Nelson's On the Road Again, because that was Terry's kind of music.
Yeah.
That was the big hit the summer of 1980, and that was the song that Bill thought of when he thought of Terry Fox and the Marathon of Hope.
Yeah, they don't make him like Terry Fox anymore. I feel like we're far too divided as people, and just far too cynical and just angry.
And now it's just motorists versus cyclists.
That's right.
Yeah, let's kill all the fucking bike lanes.
I was yelled at this morning.
Were you really?
Yeah, and it was not even, it was south of Lakeshore, so it was a quiet street, because I didn't come to a complete stop at a stop sign, and a motorist started yelling at me, and I was thinking, I think all this anti-bike lane rhetoric coming out of our premier's office, it's sort of amps up these guys.
Of course it does.
So it's like
100%.
I'm getting yelled at more because motorists are kind of mad I exist now.
Yep.
And remember, I'm also a motorist. I'm just going to throw it out.
That's okay.
Sure. Yeah.
That's okay.
We contain multitudes.
I don't want to take the heat off of this. So we lost a great FOTM, Bill Viggers, and on FOTMcast, we will remember all the FOTMs we lost. But I heard you, Tyler, introduce this by saying there was an EO TM.
So I know this is a bit of a delicate subject, so feel free to take a pass on this, but I wanted to sort of bring up the death of Mike Bullard for a couple of reasons. One is you had a bit of a history with him. He was quite unpleasant to you, as he was to many people. And you also kind of broke the story of his death. So maybe we can talk about that a little bit.
All right, a little bit here, which is that this past week, I've been hearing from many people about like how great a guy Bullard is and how he'll be missed because he was a hilarious and just a pioneer and all this great stuff. And I've just sort of bit my lip and let it all like happen because in Canada we are hesitant to speak ill of the dead, so I haven't proactively said anything. But I did break that death on Twitter.
Yeah,
did.
And I held on to that story for approximately 7.5 hours. So I was told Mike Bullard had died the night before. And the reason I was told was because of this history that I'll speak to in a moment here. But it was sort of to let me know, like, this person who terrorized me in the summer of 2022 was no longer alive. And I got the news, and yeah, it was kind of a moment, and I'll share a little bit about the summer of 2022 to give it context, but I got the news and my guttural reaction was relief, like pure relief. I don't have to worry about this guy anymore. Like, he's and that was my guttural reaction. And then when I went to Twitter to share it, like 7.5 hours later, when I corroborated it,
it's like Saturday night at like 10:30 or so.
Yeah, 10 something. Yeah,
and we're all texting in private about this topic.
So I had this news since 2 p.m.
Yeah,
I got this news from a source I trust, but it was I'm not going to put it in public. And then I had a chat with a couple of people, including FOTM Darren Frost, who did a lot of gigs with Mike Bullard.
It's not an Adam Seaborn Otani.
No, I wasn't like, I'm not for a death, right? And
There's no airplane.
And then Simon Rakoff, who's a good FOTM. He's been at some TMLX events. And then, so I knew 100% this was true. And I just tweeted, I think I tweeted something, Mike Bullard died yesterday or something. That was it.
Yeah, that was it.
I wasn't going to dance on his grave.
Chat GPT.
Right.
Speak right
so
there.
That's it. I just, and I was the first person in the Twitter sphere to mention Bullard's passing. But just to recap, and I wrote about this on TorontoMike.com, so if you Google it, I think I called this entry like Mike Bullard's Bizarre Lies and Threats or something like that. But you can read more of the detail there. But long story short is, in the summer of 2022, Dean Blundell went on his podcast and told a bunch of lies about me that he claims he had heard from Fearless Fred. The crux of this is that Fearless Fred thought I photoshopped pictures of his wife onto photos of gangbangs and shared them with my followers in the TMU via the internet. So I would share pictures of gangbangs with Fearless Fred's wife photoshopped over top the women's faces. Okay, this was what Fearless Fred believed to be true. He's believed this since he got here, and he told Dean Blundell at a golf. They were golfing, and he told Dean about this fucking asshole Toronto Mike to Photoshop photos of his wife onto gangbangs and shared it. Okay, so I don't believe I have to say this, but I've never done that. Okay, so that's pure fiction.
Thank you for putting that in public.
Yeah. So I recorded an episode of Toronto Mike in which I kind of like set the record straight on some stuff because this pure fiction was being spread in the Blundell network and it wasn't fair. I don't know how this happened because I didn't mention the name Mike Bullard. Like I hadn't thought of Mike Bullard in many, many years. I've never met Mike Bullard. He's not a thought. I never thought he was particularly funny, but I never had any ill will towards Mike Bullard. I just knew what I read in the newspaper.
You never invited him to the basement at any stage, did you?
Oh, no, that's probably not true. Like I'm sure at some point I invited Bullard over as a guest.
I'm sure.
Well, I thought you in fact had because there was his part of his animus towards you.
Okay, so that's coming here now. So I said it would be quick, and I'm not quick at all. Except that Mike Bullard at this period of time was having a rough spell because this is after the Cynthia Mulligan the case, and he pled guilty to some charges, and he lost his job at 1010, and he's kind of down.
Widely covered too. I mean, the Star and CP and everyone was all over that story. Chatelaine wrote like
Kevin Donovan was writing about it. Like, yeah, absolutely. And I actually wasn't writing about it. Like, it just wasn't on my radar. Yeah. I just read it.
Too busy with Photoshop.
Yeah.
Apparently.
I got some Photoshop skills. But at this time, Dean Blundell was giving Mike Bullard some oxygen by having him on podcasts on his network, and where Bullard could talk about like how he got screwed over by the legal system and kind of trying to clear his name or whatever. So when I went at I don't even like saying I went at Blundell, but when I dropped that episode of Toronto Mike, which is still in the Toronto Mike feed, I don't remember the number, but the Dean Blundell Fearless Fred episode of Toronto Mike went in the feed.
I believe it's unnumbered, actually.
But didn't I do a second one where I got a number?
Oh, maybe you did.
I think I did a new one. I think there's a couple of attacks I got. Yeah. So Bullard decided he had to defend his one true friend, Dean Blundell, and kind of came at me for and a lot of weird stuff. Like he called me a Derringer apologist or something, even though I'm actually the guy that weekend who famously wrote the whole allegations against John Derringer and documented everything.
I feel like you broke parts of that.
100%. The women in that situation have thanked me for what I did that weekend because it took a lot of heat off them and helped people see it all in one spot and everything. I was never a Derringer apologist. Like
sunlight's the best antiseptic.
Well, that's actually what I was told. 100%. That's why I wrote the entry on Toronto Mike about all this with the screen caps. But Bullard started attacking me and threatening me and telling me that he'll be in the same room as me one day. He's been waiting 7 years to take this out on somebody. He called me all these awful names. Just was relentless. And there was like periods of time where he would tweet at me or about me every like 8 or 10 seconds for hours.
Unhinged.
Like he was completely unhinged, and people were reaching out like, "Are you okay, Mike?" Because this is all on public Twitter. You can probably find them all if you search for his name and my name, or whatever.
You could probably find your house too. If you know, like seriously,
no.
if you want.
So that's
easily.
okay. So in a nutshell, he terrorizes me to a point where I'm talking to the police. I'm talking to a lawyer. I share some of this with my wife, who's now afraid for our 2 young children's safety, that this lunatic is going to show up at our house and do something stupid because he was completely unhinged and threatening me. And it was, at some point, I blocked him everywhere and tried to just ignore it. But he terrorized me in the summer of 2022 to a point where it was very uncomfortable and just horrific. And that's why when I learned he was dead, I felt relief. But to your point, he then, during this period, he went on another podcast on the Dean Blundell Network. I think his name is James DeFiore.
DeFiore, yeah.
Oh, right.
And he starts sharing more about why he hates my guts. And he tells a story that I invited him, Mike Bullard, into my basement for an episode of Toronto Mike. And my plan was, and you guys know because you're down here right now, but around this corner, something like that. Like around the corner, I would have Cynthia Mulligan. Like I'd worked
Michael
on
Lang.
I had worked on the Langers there. I concocted this plan
catch a predator.
with Cynthia. By the way, I've never met Cynthia Mulligan. I'm just gonna throw it out there. But Cynthia Mulligan would be hiding in the basement. Mike Bullard would come in the basement to be on Toronto Mike, and Cynthia would leap out, and then the police would come in the door and arrest Bullard for violating conditions of his parole,
right?
Because he's not allowed to be in the same space as Cynthia Mulligan, the victim in this case. So this is the kind of stuff Bullard believed to be true, and I don't know where that came from. Like if someone told him that and he believed it, that's also pure fiction. If I need to tell you that, but he's saying this on public podcasts, and this is summer of 2022, and I literally blocked him everywhere I could, which will be impossible now with the new owner of this Twitter app.
Great.
I blocked him everywhere.
Yeah.
All right.
See if he'd be able to see you because they were like
if he were alive,
he couldn't interact with you. Yeah.
Well, thankfully he passed away, so I don't have to worry about it. But that's what happened, and that's my experience with Mike Bullard.
Yeah.
I've never met him in person. He never did come on Toronto Mike, and there you go.
Like,
questions?
Kidding aside, I'm trying to think what are the models for what you just like. It is Chris Hansen to catch a predator.
Yeah.
It's probably like some WWE storylines. It's Hercules Hernandez.
It's so
it's
bizarre.
Jerry Springer,
the Undertaker popping out of the
exactly.
Like, I don't know which is more ridiculous. The whole I'm going to Photoshop. First of all, I had no idea Fearless Fred was married or what his wife looked like. And
who the fuck cares about Fearless Fred? Honestly, like what the fuck?
But you know what? That was coming out of when he was the one. He was hired from Edmonton.
Yeah.
To replace 2 people were fired on the same day or one day apart. Martin Streak and Barry Taylor.
Yeah.
They were let go one day apart and then replaced with a guy from Edmonton named Fearless Fred.
Right.
And I was just blogging about Toronto radio because I was the last fucker who cared about Toronto radio. And I blogged about it. Nothing personal. Nothing personal. Nothing personal. I didn't have any personal feelings about Fearless Fred.
Honestly, I feel like that seems like a case of mistake. I feel like they're mixing you up with someone else.
Yes.
So if someone did that,
so fucking specific.
Yeah, and that they Fearless Fred came on Humble and Fred in like 2014 or something to tell them a bit about this. Like this is in the Toronto Mike. That episode of Toronto Mike about the Fearless Fred Dean Blundell thing should have won me a Pulitzer. It's very well put together.
Yeah.
But the Bullard thing just comes out of left field, and he just starts going at me like he needed a punching bag or something.
Yeah.
And again, unhinged. I got so many notes from people close to him sort of apologizing that he had a break, some mental break, which I'm sympathetic to.
Sure.
But my safety was jeopardized, and I don't like that feeling because I have 2 young kids.
Well, thank you for sharing that, first of all. And I'm sorry that happened. And I think it speaks to, I think we talked about this a little bit earlier, certainly in Canada. And I think in a lot of cultures, people are very, very hesitant to speak ill of the dead.
Yes.
And I think it is incumbent upon us to remember people as they were. And I think, lots of people are sharing stories about Mike Bullard being a generous person, helping them in their comedy career. And I'm sure he did that. I'm sure he was very nice.
I heard it on Humble and Fred this morning.
Yeah, I'm sure he was very nice to a lot of people. And he was also clearly a fucking psychopath. It was proven in court that he harassed Cynthia Mulligan. And he
did text her 200 times, in the
something
night,
like that.
Stuff like that.
And he very clearly and very publicly harassed you.
Yeah.
And
yes. Yes, and I've had, since Bullard's passing, I had a chat with Cynthia Mulligan, and
oh wow,
and again, I'm not even going to compare myself to what she went through, but she had a couple of young kids.
Yep.
And they felt terrorized and felt unsafe for great periods of time. And if what I experienced, if there was only 1% of what they went through, then my heart goes out to them.
Yeah.
That's a big reveal that you spoke to Cynthia Mulligan post passing.
Yep.
Wow.
I wanted to make sure she knew about this passing before I tweeted about it.
Yeah, good.
Oh, interesting.
Glad you did that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's okay to say what people were like and to be honest about it and to feel okay and feel relieved that someone died who was unpleasant to you.
Yeah.
I don't think that's bad.
And I think also, again, whoever said it, maybe during CTV, he was nice to some people. He gave breaks to some people. He's normal. And then people are fuck. People change. People have good times, bad times.
Yeah.
Some people never come back, and then they're gone,
which
seems to be the case here.
So rest in peace, Bill Viggers.
And rest in piss, Mike Bullard.
Yeah. A lot of emotion. Wow. We're covering a lot of ground considering we started late.
We did. All right. I think we can move on to stinger number 2.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Here we go.
Speaking of Biles.
Gotta have Biles.
Yeah. So this is probably the Raving Mojo guy playing guitar.
Yeah,
there.
probably.
It's wild.
Wow. All right. Tyler, set us up.
Forgotten CanCon,
I guess
Cam.
This is kind of a Cam
Let's get
thing.
into it.
Okay, so Cam,
All
do you want to
right.
say anything before I kick this out?
No, just start playing the song. Okay, well, let's do this. You guys just say, okay, yes, once you recognize the song. Because I feel like this is I thought we'd talked about all the songs, honestly. Because this is going to be harder and harder. And then it's this song, I'm like, oh my fucking God, this song. Of course this song. I had no idea who this band. I know nothing about this band.
Okay, let's listen.
And if you're in the chat room said, yes, I know this song as soon as you recognize it, which is probably right away. Everyone knows this song.
Keyboard budget on this song is out of control.
It just sounds like Strange Advance or something.
Sounds very familiar.
So far I don't recognize this song.
You'll know the chorus.
Oh, that I remember. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what, Toronto Mike?
You know what's funny? Sometimes I hear a song like this and I think it sounds like songs I know.
Yeah. very, very much so. This song.
I couldn't tell you the band name.
No, I never heard this band. The name of the band is Paradox.
No.
The name of the song is Waterline.
Sure.
Not to be confused with Spoon's Waterline.
Right. Or Lowest of the Low's Power
Yeah.
Lines.
Okay, good call by Leslie Ville. Oh, sorry, is it Leslie Villain, right? Leslie.
I think it's Leslie Billion.
Billion, right? So it sounds like Only in My Dreams by Debbie Gibson. That is true.
It does.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff. It reminds me of songs I know.
Yeah. So this band, Paradox, they're a French-Canadian band.
Oh, really?
Okay. But the song's like 1989, and you see the video, it's like, it very much has that 80s shifting into the 90s vibe, if that makes sense. It's not quite hair metal, but it's definitely not like grunge.
Well, very pre-grunge.
Yeah. So this band is from a Grand Mare, Quebec, that eventually got absorbed into a mega city, Shawinigan.
Ah, the Shawinigan handshake.
Exactly.
Yeah, the Shawinigan handshake.
That should go on that list of just things. But here's the Esri Geography Corner, a couple of other famous residents from Shawinigan, both shocking hockey players. We got Jacques Plante.
Oh, yeah.
Hall of Famer.
That's a big deal. That's a very big deal.
And a good remember some guys, NHL guy, Martin Gélina.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
He played for the Canadians, right?
Yeah,
Or
he was-
in Edmonton, right?
he was in the Gretzky trade.
He was in the Gretzky trade, yeah. Good career, Martin Gélina.
Put the dagger in the 2002 Leafs with the Hurricanes.
Right.
Yeah, so Andy Bevic Glass Tiger vibe, about 100%. Andrew Ward says Shawinigan, beautiful. Have you guys traveled in Quebec at all?
I've never been to Shawinigan.
When I drove to PEI, I went to rural Quebec.
I always thought that would be really interesting, doing small town Quebec.
We definitely had one night in small town Quebec, and I remember no one spoke English.
Yeah, exactly. Like a real different culture. Which is what, and yet Paradox came out of there and sounded very non-Quebecois.
Saw a very nice waterfall at that location.
Okay.
I got to find out the name of that.
Okay.
Please do.
Here's a trivia question. And FOTM wrote this. This is from the first Paradox album, and FOTM wrote all the lyrics.
Really?
Who was it?
Oh my God! Give me a second. Don't tell me. Okay, so Gord Depp.
Good guess. Here's a clue. Wrong gender.
Oh.
Okay.
Sass Jordan?
Yes.
Really?
That was a great guess.
Yeah.
Really?
Correct.
Yeah. Sass Jordan is correct. Apparently wrote all these lyrics.
She was in the box, living
She's
together.
from
Something together, closer together. She's in that
exactly.
song.
Yeah. Back. Yeah. So kids of Montreal.
Quebec,
Yeah.
She's a Quebec girl.
Yeah. So a few more fun facts very quickly about Paradox. They broke up in 1991. Their last hit was something called "Kiss Me on the Lips."
Oh, okay.
Went to number 49 in Canada. Do not remember that. The singer Sylvain Cossette still performs. He's in a Beatles cover band. He does a lot of gigging around Quebec. And as well, his wife, this is very interesting because I sort of knew this existed. Mm-hmm. His wife is someone named Andrea Waters. She actually wrote the lyrics for the French language version of Justin Bieber's One Less Lonely Girl.
Really? I don't even know the English version of that song. Tyler, do you? I know a lot of Bieber. I don't know that Bieber.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
But I sort of remember this growing up. Sometimes it would be the French language song of top 40 hits. I'm like, oh yeah, that's actually a thing that happens sometimes. So anyway, Paradox Waterline.
No, I got to say,
a familiar song. I think.
Memory Hold. Is that the term we use?
I
on
have
this
definitely
show?
heard that song before.
Yeah, I think that's a bullseye for this segment. Am I wrong?
Paradox was up for Best New Group of the Year in 1990.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Do you know who won that year?
Wait, 1990 new group?
Yeah.
I sort of saw what you're looking at.
Yeah.
The Tragically Hip.
Yes.
Oh, there you go.
The other
Up to here was 89.
Yeah, the other nominees were Brighton Rock.
Okay.
FOTM's Brighton
There you
Rock.
go.
But Hip are also an FOTM band.
Yeah. Indio.
Yeah, Indio.
Covered by Eddie Vedder.
Yeah.
Hard Sun.
Hard Sun, absolutely.
And Sons of Freedom.
Okay. Oh,
they were more of a West Coast thing, right?
They were on the ill-fated tour with Art Bergman and Pierre and
Fuck
who
Boot Sauce.
Fuck Boot Sauce. Yes.
No, they're a huge part of Toronto Mike's history. I should get
totally.
This. But
Sons
a huge blind spot for me is Sons of Freedom. I feel like did Toronto even get behind this band?
They were good. Da, da, da. Like they were sort of cry, cry, you know good.
Yeah.
They had 2 hits. Gump was the album.
Over there.
Gump was the album. You're no good.
Yeah, not the President's.
That was the Weirdo Yankovic parody of Lump.
Lump
was Gump.
Wow. Okay.
I'm processing all of this.
Yeah,
okay, so I missed out on Paradox. Woo! Wow. I love this segment, though.
This is a great
Forgotten
segment.
CanCon.
Yeah.
Do you want to roll right into the next segment? Because I realize
into-
the wrapped segment takes 90 minutes.
It takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
Let's roll right into this.
Lexicon Corner. Let's get into it.
But yeah, before we get into it, I want to give kudos to Tyler Campbell, a.k.a. VP of Sales. Doesn't make many sales, be honest, but he's made a couple.
While.
Garbage Day.
It's been a while.
Mike Majeski.
Yeah.
The end.
There was some
but
good
the
revenue
Garbage Day got fucked by COVID.
COVID fucked
There was a
us.
huge thing.
There was a huge
happen.
deal on the table.
Yeah, and COVID messed it up completely.
Yeah, multiple podcasts.
But this guy, he's amazing because all this effort, all this editing, these stingers, all this work, it gets handed to me. I just got to press play.
It's a labor of love.
The only one who has it easier than me is Cam, who just shows up late and spits into
Cam did a lot of work for this episode.
Yeah, I got to come from the other part of the city, in fairness.
Right,
like
so
it's an
pick it
hour.
up, Tyler, but just know that you are appreciated.
Well, that means a lot.
Kudos.
Thank you.
You're the opposite of Bullard as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you.
There you go.
All right. So, a couple of things that we wanted to cover off here in Lexicon Corner. The one thing that Cam sort of tabled here was talking about the worst podcast, the vehicle for
Zweig's
Mr.
podcast.
Zweig.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that it took a year and God knows how many people.
A small team of 6 people to put together.
Yeah, which, completely antithetical
Do you
to...
have the details there? This is from a Julia Shapiro.
Julie Shapiro.
Yeah, who
Julie,
our
sorry.
friend 1236, a lot of things, seemed to know all about or purported to know all
He was
about.
he was very embedded, it felt like, in this whole universe.
So Mark Weisblatt, and again, as I say all these words, I'm aware both Weisblatt and Zweig are hearing these words.
Of course. Hello
So I got
to
to make
both
sure
of
I'm
you.
accurate. But Mark Weisblatt does work with the Canadian Jewish News.
Yeah.
And I know that Ralph Ben-Mergi talked to Alan Zweig for the Canadian Jewish News. And I feel like maybe Weisblatt was involved in that. But that's unrelated to Canada Land
The
and
worst
Double
podcast.
Double,
Yeah.
which is like an attempt to crack the U.S. market, I believe. I think I talked about this with Katie Lore. I'll pass the baton back to Cam, but I think that's Weisblatt's connection to Zweig is from this CJN, the Canadian Jewish News thing that was happened.
I mean, this caught my eye because I saw this Julie Shapiro again. I think she's based in the Carolinas, but was brought in by Canada Land / Double Double, which I don't know if they ever announced like their official rebrand, or is this sort of like an offshoot? Anyway, it doesn't matter.
So it's like Double Double is to Google as Canada Land is to Alphabet.
Yeah, so this caught my eye I didn't know who this was, but she seems to be an American producing a podcast for Canada Land, and she was talking about to EP a podcast.
Right.
I'm like, what is EP? What does that even mean? And then I sort of did the math. Oh, it's like executive producer.
Executive producer.
Yeah.
She's an executive producer on this podcast.
Yeah.
What does that entail?
It's like, oh, that's a and it's like, it's totally cool. Anyway, it's just an interesting time for Canada Land because this was also happening concurrently with like a lot of flack over, continued, I'll just say difference of opinion in the Middle East and Jesse Brown getting some flack for it and people departing. It's a whole thing. Meanwhile, they're trying to launch this podcast. It sort of seemed like it was kind of like a Mark Maron type thing, like
My
sort of long
understanding
form
is
celebrity chats.
Yes, it's supposed to be a celebrity podcast.
Yeah.
I paused for dramatic. So again, like I'm actually hyper. I'm struggling because I'm hyper aware Alan's listening.
Yeah,
which is throwing me on.
I did listen to one episode. I listened to the Paul F. Tompkins episode because I really like Paul.
I listened to it too.
Yeah, like that's a big.
I talked to Katie about it. Yeah,
classic podcast guest. Like
he's on a million podcasts. He's very funny. His wife was on as well.
Totally.
And I think it worked. I think it worked because Paul is a very polished podcast guest and he's very funny.
Yeah.
And I think Alan, I'm not quite sure. I didn't quite grasp the conceit of the podcast. Like I think it was Alan maybe sort of being a bit of a fish out of water.
Yeah. I think the shtick is he doesn't do homework. Am I right?
Right. He's just reacting to stuff.
Because remember that moment where he doesn't know the name of the wife.
Right, he calls her the wife
or something. And then there's but you're like, that was a great guest and you rolled with it or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think he's like, he proudly doesn't do homework.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's the opposite of Brian Linehan.
So if you're not doing a lot of homework, then I must ask why it takes a year to pull that together.
Yeah.
And I don't know the mechanics of it. Obviously, there's a lot of that goes.
And also, if it's a celebrity podcast, and this is in the Katie Lore episode, so people can go there and hear more discussion about this. Because Katie Lore, just to be clear, she produced it. So I'm sure you'll run down the cast of the 6, but Katie Lore produced the show, and her voice is all over the show. But I can tell you, because I learned about it when Katie Lore was on Toronto Lake, she's quit.
Right.
Like, she doesn't want to work at Canada Land. And if there is another season of the Worst Podcast, it won't include Katie Lore.
Well, again, like I feel like there's a lot of things happening with Canada Land and Jesse at this time. And I don't know, like, I feel like regardless of what you think of Jesse, his politics, his vibe, whatever, I feel like sometimes he doesn't get enough credit for actually creating like an original Canadian media brand and like giving people jobs too. I mean, like, you know, Jonathan Goldsby was there for many years and stuff, but then it seems like it's like he's gone, and I feel like almost everyone's gone, and the whole thing seems to be unraveling a bit.
And the guy in charge, whose name is eluding me right now. Do you guys have the name in front of me?
Is it like Arash? Or
no.
The guy, and he's gone now.
Yeah,
right.
He's announced he's leaving.
Black.
Yes, Alan Black.
Yes.
Alan Black? Yes.
Alan's way.
So he's one of those 6 people.
Yeah.
Black.
Is that Chris Black?
No, Chris Black's a baseball guy.
Baseball producer.
Chris Black. Okay, it's confusing.
Right.
But anyway, it seems like there's a lot of stuff.
Alan Black. It is Alan Black.
And again, I'm not saying it's good, bad, or otherwise. I just thought how this product was positioned in the market was just, it was very different than what you do,
So
Toronto
different.
Mike,
So
or
different.
what Toronto Legends is doing, or Mark Maron's doing.
Toronto Legends. I will say this.
Actually, what he's doing and you're doing is very similar. So that's a
Very
bad example.
similar. A lot of similarity.
Although all his are remotes. That's the big difference.
That's true.
Yeah.
I say no to the biggest. I said no to Oprah.
You said no to
okay? I said
Sting.
no remote.
You said no to Sting. A very famous man.
I did say no to Sting.
Anyway, I wish them luck. I like seeing people try
Okay,
stuff
just before
and
we
seeing what
sound like we're
sticks.
pissing on other
I like
podcasts.
Alan's
Let's
Zweig a lot.
Yeah.
I like him more than you do. Okay?
Yeah, I'm sure you do, because you
and
know
Alan
him.
knows this. Like, I can't wait to have Alan back,
He's a wonderful guest on the show.
because he's probably got. I know he finished a new film, and I want to talk about that. But I really would like to talk about what went wrong with the Worst Podcast. Like, a lot of publicity, first celebrity podcast for this new double, and by all accounts, it's done, like 6 and out or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think for a celebrity podcast, I mean, Ron McClain was a guest, right?
He was.
Although I didn't hear
Yeah.
that. Not going to crack the American off market with Ron McClain, right? Like, Ron McClain is a Canadian famous guy,
Yeah.
but no one knows him in the States,
Just,
right?
just sort of looking at like it's. I guess that's like every podcast. Like, it's always a mixed bag of people
Yeah.
you got on it.
Yeah,
It's
like they had.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you took a year and you're only going to do 6 episodes, I would think, what's his name? Paul F. Tompkins? I always screw it up.
Yeah.
Yes, Paul F. Tompkins.
I think all 6 would be more famous than Paul F. Tompkins.
He would be like the ground floor.
Right. And he's great on BoJack Horseman,
Yeah, he
a
is.
show I absolutely adore.
Yeah.
I do. He had a really good tweet. Well, I'm sure he's got lots of great tweets, but he tweeted at the band TLC and he asked if they had loosened their position on Scrubs. And they replied back like, hell no.
That is
I
funny.
enjoyed that. That was good.
Amazing.
So I will aim to get Zweig back in the basement to get some clarification, because I've had Katie Lore on, and she basically like said like, I tapped out, I'm out,
and not because well, who knows, but probably not because of Alan, but more of the.
No, my understanding. I mean, my feeling was like, no bullshit on the FOTMcast episodes here. My feeling is that Katie and Alan got along fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they had an issue.
Yeah.
But I
It
think
was
Katie
just
has an issue with people maybe above Alan's pay grade.
Yeah.
That
Again, it
makes sense.
seems like a lot going on there, and I feel like a lot of political
But again,
considerations affecting
like
the whole thing.
Canada Land makes like 1 million times more money than TMDS makes. Like they're a huge success story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a
a lot of crowdfunding there.
But the bigger they are, the harder they fall.
How's your Patreon doing, by the way?
I forgot to mention it the last 1,000
2 years.
episodes. Yeah, maybe.
I think I still give you a couple bucks a month.
You know what? Once in a while, I have a fantasy that I give a shit about the Patreon, and that becomes the big thing.
Oh, do you? I thought that was a bit. So I don't know. You actually have a Patreon.
I never
Okay.
mentioned it. I never mentioned it.
Oh wow.
I think you've
It's the
been
best kept secret.
I think
Wow.
Because I'm embarrassed of it.
Yeah.
Why?
Like, I'm embarrassed to ask listeners for money.
Hat in hand.
Why do you think I don't charge for TMLX?
I wonder how much I've given
16?
you. I've been passively giving you like $2 a month for.
So as you know, I'm about to have the 17th TMLX event is on November 30th at Palma's Kitchen. I've never charged a penny for the ticket. There's
Not
no
a
paywall
one.
anyway.
Huh.
I feed and I
Free
give
food.
everyone beer and food every single time,
It's the best
and I
deal in
never
town.
take a penny because I don't want to be the guy who podcasts and then passes around a hat.
You're the richest man in town.
There you go.
It's a Wonderful Life is one of my 10 favorite movies of all time.
I saw that. I read that.
Yeah, but that
it wasn't on your original list
because I hadn't seen it back then.
Really?
Yeah.
This is
I got into. So It's a Wonderful Life story is. Do you have another 90 minutes?
Oh, please.
Sure, yeah. Can't wait.
I knew about it from pop culture, and I saw it parodied on The Simpsons. And this thing, I said, "Oh, there's this thing. It's a Wonderful Life." And I keep seeing parodies of it or references to it. But I was in the last decade is the first time I sat down and watched it, and I watched it, and I fucking loved it. And every Christmas now, I watch it and cry. I openly weep watching It's a Wonderful Life. And yeah, I just re-ranked my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
And It's a Wonderful Life is now in the top 10. It's cracked the top 10.
What's it about?
Oh my God. Really?
I'm dead serious. Like it's Jimmy Stewart, right?
It's absolutely Jimmy Stewart.
Okay. What's the one sentence summary of what it's
all
about?
Right, it's kind of like A Christmas Carol in the sense.
Okay, that's
man reconsiders his life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Via the magic of Christmas.
Yes.
Okay.
This guy, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, let's move on.
like a guy finds out what would life be like if he didn't exist.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a Christmas Carol is like a guy finds out like he's visited from the ghost of the past, which he can't change, the ghost of the present, and then the ghost of the future. You can change the future if you change the present, and he has this like epiphany.
But he's also I'm sort of a dick. Ebenezer Scrooge.
Yeah, Ebenezer Scrooge was a super dick.
Yeah. Oh God,
I like that movie.
That
too.
guy would be an EOTM.
He's an asshole, and these ghosts give him a chance, so he doesn't end up like.
He's totally doing the gangbang Photoshop, if it existed.
You know what I want to know? First,
Dickens times.
I'm not convinced it ever happened. Like I know I didn't do it, but I'm not convinced it ever happened because
the Fearless Fred thing.
If things on the web like that, typically you can a screen cap or a link or some evidence of it in the aforementioned Wayback Machine or something. I don't believe anyone ever photoshopped pictures of Fearless Fred's wife into gangbangs. Because you know what else? At the time, I'm the only guy covering radio on my blog.
Yeah.
Somebody would have told me.
Sure.
It's so specific, though. I feel like it was a mistake. Like someone did it. It just wasn't you.
But
like,
who in Toronto would have any clue or give a shit enough to care about?
I'm just thinking like it's a random listener. I don't know because people are assholes. I don't know.
You have an entry on TorontoMike.com from November 8th, 2011 called Fearless Fred Really, Really Hates Me.
2011, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's his appearance on Humble and Frank.
By the way, I think he's still on Chorus. I feel like I saw.
He's at Chorus.
Like he's like
he's
in
the
the sort of the
guy.
for like across the network.
So again, FOTMcast is where all the fucking tea gets spilled. But a valued FOTM tried to broker a peace summit between me and Fearless Fred to clear the air that Fred has the wrong guy, and Fred Kennedy wanted nothing to do with it. He was gonna die on the hill that I photoshopped pictures of his wife into gangbangs and shit. Which never happened.
Never happened.
No.
I've never photoshopped anyone into a gangbang. I've never had a photo of a gangbang in my Photoshop.
Could you do it if asked?
It wouldn't look great because I'm a hack in Photoshop, but I could technically do it.
Well, that's all I need.
I feel like you're a shit disturber in some ways, but like not at all in that.
Not like that.
You're just like media gossip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
I think I'm not sure I have to review those words.
Whatever.
Moving on.
All right.
Okay. Before you play the next clip, we're going to play a little game.
Oh.
Whoa.
I've been thinking about this a lot, and one thing that you do a lot, Mike, Toronto Mike.
Mm-hmm. Mispronounce names.
Yeah. Well, no, that's not it. There are things that I call Toronto Mike triggers.
Oh yeah.
So an example of this is anytime an FOTM's name is mentioned and they're not referred to as an FOTM, you'll sort of stop down and say, that's FOTM, so-and-so.
I'm embarrassed by this, yes.
No, this is good. So I'm going to mention a few things, and I want to see your reaction to them and see if you say the thing.
This is this Toronto Mike jukebox.
Yeah, a little bit. Okay.
There you go.
So
this is like word association.
Yeah, a little bit. So I'll give you an easy one to start with.
Yeah.
Someone on the show mentions someone who has died.
Shout out to Ridley Funeral Home.
Exactly.
Nailed it.
Any kind of mistake or omission or lie.
Hansen? Where are we?
No. Think again. Mistake, omission, a fact check.
Oh, that's a Robert Lawson.
Robert Lawson is in the bushes right now.
Who's in the calendar? Yeah, right. Robert Lawson is in the bushes right now. Yeah.
Regardless of whether the guest knows.
But not Cynthia Mulligan. It's Robert Lawson.
Right here.
If I were to say the name Steve Anthony to you.
Couple of things for Steve Anthony. One is I would probably reference the coffee he made me try with 6 sweeteners in it.
Oh, okay.
And I might reference Mitsu, and I might reference Boy in the Box.
Yes.
There you go.
That's the one.
Okay.
We were.
He's a trifecta.
Actually.
Yes.
I was like working. I randomly tweeted, or I texted
I don't want to
Tyler.
fail this.
Yeah, I reached out to Cam for some help on this.
Okay. Absolutely. Yeah. Boy in the Box.
If I were to mention Young Street or Young and Bluer, what would you say to that?
Would I reference the fact I lived at 30?
You absolutely would.
I feel like it comes up sort of like
beside the Uptown
Yorkville. Yeah,
it's Young and well, you could see Young and Bluer from the balcony. So
yeah, exactly.
I forget. Did that the porn? Not the porn place. The strip
it's still
club
there. It's still there.
Maybe in the
Brass
context
Rail.
of
Brass
that, or
Rail.
like the long rumored Apple store right there.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
trying to think all the things that are happening at that corner.
I saw Saving Private Ryan at that Uptown Theater.
Oh wow,
There you go.
Yeah,
Fucking amazing movie.
Yeah, never saw it.
John Gallagher.
I would say John Gallagher.
Yes, you would.
Literally have a text.
Am I getting too predictable?
Not at all. Not at all. It's,
50,
these are
65.
it's all endearing, wonderful stuff. David Marsden.
Would I go like Would I do his imitation like Mars bar?
Yes, you would. Yes, you would.
See, sometimes I'm not sure what I would do. This is a fun game. And he was on yesterday.
That's right. Boot sauce.
Fuck boot sauce.
Yes. Okay. The last one.
What if they're lovely guys? Like, what if I meet the boot sauce guys?
I don't think that will be
the
case. I don't think that will be the case, given their history. All right. This last one is a big one, and I put together a little supercut for it. Let's just play it, and we can react afterwards.
All right, let's do it. This song makes me cream my jeans. Holy smokes. High School Confidential, Rough Trade. Well, I just shout out to Carol Pope, though, who did tell us that she would cream her jeans.
Carol Pope, when we get talking about the new album.
Stop
Terry
talking about me creaming my jeans.
Yeah.
I met Carol Pope. And you know Carol Pope was
my question, did you cream your jeans when you met Carol Pope? Clive Smith.
Well, I wouldn't quite put it that way.
Well, Carol Pope and Alan Frew were there, obviously.
Did she cream her jeans? Oh, that was me. That was
you. And it was all
contagious.
Yeah, she heard the way that
Carol Pope.
Oh, Carol Pope, fantastic.
But so 4 p.m. today until us actually, I was going to be on a Zoom with Carol talking to her. She didn't show up.
She heard
she
Cam
never
talk shit about Murray and canceled.
She might have liked that. She did not show up for the fucking Zoom. Like
that blonde scheming bitch.
Yeah,
I would have creamed my jeans.
It's more Cam than me.
There was some Cam in there twice.
Okay. You know, how can I? You're right.
80-20.
You know what? I don't know if this is a part of my whole whatever, but I can't help myself. And sometimes I hate myself for doing it. And I'll listen back and I'll be like, you don't have to point out that's an FOTM. Like, that's going to be fucking annoying.
Mike, they're the text, the actual text. You can even say how I spelled, like Marge Bar. This is just like yesterday. I feel like this was. Like,
but why can't I just let the maybe this is something I need to work on for the next
I don't think so.
If Carol Pope is referenced, I don't have to make a cream your jeans joke.
You don't have to, but why not?
All right, I apologize to the listenership.
No, don't apologize for anything. We love you the way you are.
But I feel like there's
Billy
also
Joel.
certain topics, like if anyone references like the bare naked ladies going on Speaker's Corner, what do you think of that, Mike?
The truther, I have to talk about printing the don't print the legend.
Wasn't that great when they popped into Speaker's Corner and they played Be My Yoko Ono? What do you think of that, Mike?
Not fair, because you know my triggers and you're just going at them now. Not nice.
I feel like you're blushing.
So that's Toronto Mike triggers.
That's fun.
How many episodes of Completely Ignored are there?
There was like 12. They're off the internet.
See, let's say you did that 1,565 times. Certain trends would,
of course,
there you go,
arise, and you'd become self-conscious of these
It's all
trends.
a good thing. Yeah. It's all part of what makes you who you are.
The Pavement song, Trigger Cut. You know, that could be the theme.
Oh, yes.
I know,
Trigger
Cut. I only know the haircut
Good
song.
jam.
Okay.
Good jam.
All right. Let's move on to the next segment.
All right, here we go.
WikiLeaks.
That's my favorite stinger. Because I don't understand any of it.
That is that's a Cardi B song.
Okay. Love it.
We're big Cardi B heads.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we get into some, and I did a lot of Wikipedia this entry.
Yeah, you did.
Mike, like I said, I feel like this needs to be a separate podcast, but what's your level of like tech anxiety about AI and all this going forward? Again, I feel like you should have Jesse Hirsch on to talk about this.
I do.
Like, are you worried
because
about
of
all this crap?
I'm not worried. That's the wrong word, except I'm just passionately like against it. Like I feel like that the reason I dropped. So Jesse, this again, it's embargoed. So you have to come to the next FOTM cast for a deeper dive. But the AI episode of Toronto Mike was created because Jesse Hirsch submitted the previous 2 FOTM casts to the Google AI, and that's what spit out, and I shared it as I received it from Jesse Hirsch, a valued FOTM who's I appreciate his insights. But I listened to it and just realized, oh my God, there's no humanity. Who wants this? Who wants this to be the audio entertainment while they walk the dog or go for a bike ride or commute to work or just lounge around the kitchen making dinner? Who wants that?
Yeah.
Give me humans. Give me Alan Zweig talking to anybody, and I'll take it over the AI content that I threw into there will be no sequel. That AI was a one-off, but Jesus.
I will say, and this sounds like it's gonna be a humble brag, but like I'm gonna be at this conference in a couple of months, I guess. But I'm gonna be presenting about how like AI is like transforming comms, but like it's real talk.
Cool.
You guys will like the name of this: the ongoing history of AI's impact on the comms industry. It's an homage to Alan Cross, but it's officially in. But you would be shocked how much we use it in the PR world to like write press releases and articles and whatnot. And then
because you're lazy, you're lazy.
But it's also like, if it's just sort of like, I'll just call like basic content. It's like, why not let the computers write it? And
but isn't that the fun? Maybe it's different with PR releases or whatever, but isn't that the, being able to creatively write something, isn't that a fun part of the job?
Yeah, but like if you're talking about like the corporate world, I mean, we're not, we're not Shakespeare here. We're just like trying to get out information. And the part that I find really scary is, Mike, once in a while I'll ask like Chat GPT, like write an article about, TLMX coming up and tell me all the people who might be showing up. And I'll pump it out and it'll be kind of right, but then remember there's the one said there's going to be like food trucks there?
That's right.
There's always a few clues that a human wasn't involved.
Yeah, and that's like, rumored attendees include George Stroumboulopoulos and Rick the Temp Campanelli. It's like, I would just like to know what, like OpenAI, where did it crawl that?
I think they call that hallucinations.
Yeah.
AI hallucinations.
Yeah, like it does seem like it's like a shroom. So it's, I don't know. Anyway, this is the segue into Wikipedia Corner, because I really worry, and there's been some articles written about this recently, that AI is going to totally wreck Wikipedia.
Right.
For like automated entries in it. And I've had my own encounters with the Wiki Police, which we'll talk about in a second, but I really worry about that. The Wayback Machine, like really a lot of these things that I would consider like the bones of the internet, even like what you're doing, Toronto Mike, all of a sudden all your episodes are getting nuked because of
if you're listening
lawyers.
on Spotify. You're not. Yep. And it's, that AI episode that we're not talking about, it talked about Colleen Rushholm and referred to her as the voice of the Hamilton Tiger.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck? They're like, oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you want me to play this clip you sent me?
Yeah. Speaking of AI, this is more like a voice, but I actually got AI. Actually, no. Okay, so let me set this up. So this is an entry on the talk page of Wikipedia to a deleted entry for Harry Forbes. We talked about him. You talked about him with Retro Ontario, from someone named Bearcat. Shout out to David Wilcox.
Right.
And this was this Wikipedia entry. Bearcat is a Wikipedia editor. This is his explanation why the entire entry that I put on Wikipedia when Harry Forbes died didn't have an entry before I said this is notable.
Right.
I'm going to put this on. This was the explanation for why Bearcat deleted that entry on behalf of the Wikipedia website.
Fascinating. Let's listen.
Words by Bearcat. This biography of a recently deceased composer does not appear to meet the notability criteria set by Wikipedia. The primary claim to notability is his composition of the theme music for a television show, which could potentially be notable, but the article lacks reliable sourcing aside from a brief mention in a Billboard obituary. That Billboard article focuses on multiple recent deaths in music, rather than exclusively on Harry Forbes. Otherwise, the references on this new article consist of unreliable sources such as IMDb and Discogs directory entries, a funeral home's paid inclusion death notice, a podcast called Toronto Mike, a WordPress blog, and a Substack newsletter. These sources do not support a strong claim to notability. A Google search yielded no better results. Searching for Harry Forbes brought up unrelated results for individuals like a military veteran and a hockey coach, while queries using Harry Forbes Composer or Harry Forbes Magic Shadows return no relevant information. At present, the subject lacks significant coverage and reliable, independent sources, which is essential to establish notability per Wikipedia. Without more substantial evidence or verifiable references, this article does not meet the required notability standards. This Wikipedia entry is fucked.
Okay. I threw in that last line.
You threw in the last one. Okay. So basically, we have to wait for Brad Wheeler to listen to the Harry Forbes retrospective with Ed Conroy and Toronto Mike and write something for the Globe and Mail.
Yeah.
And then it will be eligible for Wikipedia.
But you can kind of read between the lines. So, Toronto Mike doing a blog entry about this, Retro Ontario putting this on Instagram, and an actual death notice on like a weird...
Like a funeral home site.
Yeah.
But Billboard
social media
mentions it, but it mentioned too many other dead people in the same article. So
but for example, Discogs doesn't matter. Like I linked to like Discogs. I linked to some other like just past articles I'd mentioned, like Magic Shadows.
You know what? This is where we're suffering because the Toronto Star used to have an entertainment section, and somebody would have wrote about Harry Forbes, and there's no one there to write about Harry Forbes now.
Yeah.
So Ed and I, Retro Ontario, we're picking up the slack. Because we know the Star is not going to do it. Brad Wheeler's just one man, and we're going to cover this. But we're not. We don't have the integrity with these Bearcat fellows.
Yeah,
we don't have the weight, the heft, to allow for a Wikipedia entry about Harry Forbes.
And I'm not gonna, because you can, lobby for it. And given the amount of stuff I've updated Wikipedia based on Toronto Mike, I'm not going to die on the Harry Forbes hill for this. It's fine, but I do find it interesting. These Wikipedia entries. It's a needless to say, it's a volunteer position. They're like just as nerdy as I am updating this. And I get they're just, they don't know what this is. They don't care. But they don't think that your blog, what Retro Ontario is doing, is notable. I just find it interesting in 2024.
I'm glad you're sharing because I need to know these things. On the live stream, a couple of quick things.
Sure.
Andrew Ward says that David Wilcox's sister, Victoria, worked in the CBC building. Oh. She's cool as hell and smart as fuck.
Well, okay.
That's a quote.
Okay, Victoria
Speaking
Wilcox.
of fuck, so Jeremy's like, fuck AI. But, AI, when you type it out, looks like Al. So some VP of sales asked if it was Al Grego that we're fucking, but we're not fucking Al Grego. Because Al Grego went to Winnipeg. Did you guys know this? He went to Winnipeg for season 7 of Yes, We Are Open, which is the award-winning podcast from Moneris.
Al loves Winnipeg.
Al loves Winnipeg. Al loves Winnipeg. Katrina Tessier. She owns Scout Coffee and Community.
She owns the Waves.
She owns, that's
CanCon.
CanCon.
Yes, and then it ties into the late great Al Mayer.
There you go.
Who's another FOTMCast.
Ralph Alfonso, I think, mentioned.
It's all about Attic Records, right?
There you go.
Katrina shared her journey of opening this unique Winnipeg cafe, providing a welcoming space for parents to relax while their children play. She shared this with Al because Al is so... right.
Not that kind of relax.
Frankie goes to Hollywood.
Yeah.
So... I want to urge people to listen to season 7 of Yes, We Are Open.
Okay.
And I want you two gentlemen to know Moneris has sent over speakers for you.
I'm going to drop that in my...
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to dig that.
I love a box.
You're going to dig. And again, TMLX 16 is at GLB Brew Pub on Monday. So shout out to Great Lakes. We're enjoying it right now. And of course, Palma Pasta will host us on November 30th. RecycleMyElectronics.ca, of course. That's where you go if you have old electronics, old cables. You put in your postal code, and then you know where to drop that off. Shout out to Ridley Funeral Home. We've said it early and often. I recorded a new episode of Life's Undertaking with Brad Jones just before Tyler got here. We had to wait a long time for Cam to arrive. He was stuck on the TTC. Should have biked. All right.
And while I was there, I want to give a shout out to this book I'm reading. This is an excellent read about Elon Musk's first year of owning the Bird Company. Very, very good read. It's a bit of a thick read written by a couple of New York Times, but very well researched and very accurate.
Okay.
Okay, any more WikiLeaks? So the Harry Forbes was denied. That's awful news.
So that was unfortunate because, it's just...
Well, Harry should have a wiki update.
He should.
He wrote the Magic Shadows theme song.
I know.
That's notable.
Apparently not notable.
And his family heard the retrospective and loved it. And I got a lovely note from his family.
There you go. I wish they could also experience that on Wikipedia for forever and ever, but apparently not.
No.
Another thing I did put on Wikipedia, this original entry, I was shocked that this gentleman who also has left us way too early didn't have an entry, was Dallas Good from the Sadies. I randomly noticed this.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Tons of notable, because we had CBC, we had the Canadian Press, and we had,
very notable.
Yeah, so Dallas Good now has an entry.
Good
Shocking he didn't have it. This, I think we have a couple of song clips. This is like something very small that, even though this was not in this quarter when you had this guest on, but something I just learned about if you play these.
You tell me when to fade it down.
Oh, did it not go to the right part in the song?
Well, that's not how I operate, right? Like, so
okay.
I produce an MP3
Okay,
file.
can you forward to the I think we'd call it the bridge?
I would do anything for you. Stand by. Stand by. Stand by. Well,
2 minutes and 11 seconds.
Do you know 2:11?
2:11.
Yeah, 2:11.
Do you want to hustle? That's right. Do you want to
Okay, you can kill it.
Do you want to hustle?
Okay, I beg your pardon.
Okay, so bring that down and play the second one now.
Do you want to hustle?
Yeah,
Do you want to
there it is.
salsa? Come to Rimba, Simba, Rabba Rins, and you'll call him as the Rimba to the Rumba, Rada Lumera, Rimba,
Okay, you can enough of that.
So you found the sample.
Yeah, I forget where I saw this. This is from a 1979 shout out Smashing Pumpkins comedy album from National Lampoon. The name of this album, That's Not Funny, That's Sick is the name of the album. The name of this track is Disco Hotline.
Love that stuff.
So that, like, Do You Want to Hustle?
Yeah.
Is from the Disco Hotline. I
And-
guess it's like a fake hotline that you call
And
up. if you
Barry
want.
Harris, of course, is the man behind Con-Can.
I'm sorry, you heard off the top of every FOTM
That's right.
cast. And I
Right.
feel like I shared this in our little group chat, and Rob Pruce was familiar with this album. I think he said he's a fan of this album. So I threw that in Wikipedia. That's on the Con-Can.
Good for you.
And then I'm going to go rapid fire here. Okay, so a bunch of other random Wikipedia entry. I was hoping I would get the Mike Bullard update about his death, but I didn't because it wasn't quite confirmed. And again, as I learned, a tweet from Toronto Mike is not notable.
Not enough.
You're right.
But
As it should be.
Tweets are not enough.
I was able to do the death entry on Wikipedia for someone we lost, a CanCon musician, Devin, Mr. Metro, who
Yeah,
died
Mr.
in
Metro.
Q3. So I did update
Did
that.
I tell you about? I passionately wanted a quality version of Mr. Metro because I'd watched this video on Munch Music and I
Yeah.
liked it very much. I tried to get a hold of Devin. I tried different routes. There was a remake, like he remade it, and that's
Okay.
available. But the actual original
Mr. Metro 2000?
it's just a sketchy rip from a VHS cassette that you find on YouTube, and that's the best we have, and it's pretty potato quality.
And that was a big fucking song from what I recall.
Much played it a lot.
Absolutely. That and Who Says You Can't Say Yo to a Princess? I remember getting some spins.
Don't give me marijuana, quack, crack. Yeah, you're like, I might act crazy, but I don't smoke crack. Do you remember
Was
this
that
at all?
him or was that there
No,
was a
that's
guy
not
named
Jeff-
Shinehead?
Shinehead, that's him.
Shinehead, yeah.
But it's the same
Yeah.
era.
Yeah. I'm not gonna touch that. Mixing those guys up. But
I promise not to sing that again.
yeah, shout out to For Ridley Funeral. We lost Devin.
that's
But
a surprise.
at least Wikipedia knows his date.
I did try to get him on Toronto Mike and get that. I tried very hard, actually.
Yeah, and then rapid fire. I learned. I think this was maybe this wasn't. Maybe I only listened to it in Q3. But shots of the video for the song "The River" by the Tea Party were filmed out by the Old Mill that I fucking passed way late today when I was coming out this way. This was like a personal request. I enjoyed doing this. Biff Naked wanted removed from Wikipedia. She was not in an Offspring video for the song
Right.
"The Kids Aren't All
Oh,
Right."
yeah.
Was erroneous on her. So even Bearcat, you do your job. Get
In
that
real
off.
time, as she was telling me about this being incorrect on Wiki, I called out Rosie Gray Teo and said, we have mop up in aisle
There you
4.
go.
Yeah, done.
Within an hour.
That's called service.
Get that shit out of here.
That's Ian service.
Yeah. Okay. I mentioned Bob Cajun based on a Jeremy Hopkins visit. The location of that house. I'm sure it's getting flooded with curious drive-bys now.
Especially today.
Yeah. I think I doubled the size of the satellite entry based on your episode with Fergus.
So rich in information.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to get somebody like him in the basement to answer your questions, and they're happy to share.
Wonderful episode.
When you do, I don't know if either of you got to the David Marsden episode yet, but there's a lot of new info there.
We'll be taking notes for
That's
that
for
one.
next FOTM cast.
And two more. I don't remember why this came up, but Fergie Oliver's correct birthday.
Oliver.
Oh yeah.
Oliver. Sorry. Why was this a discussion point? I don't know.
I don't know.
Like was his
Somebody
birthday
didn't think he was 80, and then I explained, like, you could hear in our episode, he talks about when he turned 80.
Yeah,
He was
So he
post-80.
fixed his birthday, and last but not least, this was not even mentioned, but I just put it. Rusty, one of our favorite bands here, they played Snow Job '97 on Much Music.
Very good.
I had a line.
And we close every episode of FOTM cast with a little rest.
Yeah, so those are just a few of the
Take that,
Wikipedia
Spotify.
entries.
You do Rosie Gray T.O.
Yeah,
I should
I
say,
was
does
busy.
yeoman work.
Yeah, some people in the summer they go to the cottage, they go to Europe. I'm fucking sitting updating Wikipedia.
Thank you.
So
All right.
someone's got to do it.
You ready for the penultimate segment?
Do it. Breaking the law, corrections, fact checks. Let's get into it. Is that landing, by the way? Is that yeah? Okay, good.
Love it. This is what Judas Priest.
Some very important fact checks. In the Harry Forbes app, Retro Ontario stated that Feel Flows by the Beach Boys was on the Vanilla Sky soundtrack. It was not.
Okay.
It was on the Almost Famous soundtrack.
Oh, right. Wrong Cameron Crowe.
Retro Ontario, no doubt, regrets the error.
He's been wrong about a couple of things.
Yeah,
lately.
it's okay. He does good work.
Very different movies.
Yes, very different.
Good movies.
I really,
I liked Vanilla Sky.
I wasn't a big fan. At least at the
Closed
time.
Times Square for that scene.
Yeah.
Okay?
Tech support.
I feel like Vanilla.
And that's the guy from Shine. And Shine. You remember Shine about?
Oh
the,
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Like the
Piano
poster
prodigy?
was like the guy like
Jeffrey
this.
Rush.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Rush, but
Yeah.
the younger version of Jeffrey Rush, who I thought did a great job, is the tech support guy in Vanilla Sky.
Yes.
I feel like I get Vanilla Sky and the Jim Carrey whatever of the Spotless Mind.
Right. Yeah.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless
which is
Mind.
also
highbrow mainstream
I love that movie.
stuff.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
So Cam, you've seen Almost Famous and Vanilla Sky, but not Jerry Maguire.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you need to fill out your camera.
Have you
code.
seen Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
Not in its entirety. No.
It's fucking great.
It is good.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the first DVDs they bought.
And that's
wow.
like the first Cameron Crowe movie, or
I don't know if
was that
it's
even
first,
him,
but he
or-
wrote. He went
He wrote
undercover
it.
and went.
That's right.
He went
Yeah.
undercover.
Oh yeah, because
Yeah.
it's based on like a Rolling Stone.
He didn't
article or
direct it though.
No,
Amy
that was
Heckerling.
Amy Heckerling.
Amy Heckerling,
Yeah.
who did
It's just
Clueless.
fantastic. Right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
exactly.
I was gonna say Wayne's. Who did
Spicoli.
Wayne's World?
Wayne's World was another woman who will come to me in a minute, but
But anyway,
Is that
Jeff Spicoli, played by
Sean Penn?
Sean Penn.
Sean Penn, Academy Award winner, FOTM. Sean.
Yeah,
Penn.
Milk, right? He was good in Milk,
Sure.
actually. But he was great in Milk. But he was great as Jeff Spicoli. That character, like that persona, which we've seen in 100 movies now, I think it was invented for Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Archetyped, yeah.
That
Yeah.
like that surfer dude or whatever.
Gnarly dude. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, Mr. Hansen, it's our time.
Yeah.
Fucking
Mr.
great.
Hand.
Spicoli's great.
Yeah. In the Gary Chowan episode, Mike stated that Hulk Hogan's real name was Terry Balboa,
Right.
when in fact it is Terry Bollea.
Oh no. Oh no.
He also said in that
But
episode.
he is in a Rocky.
Yeah.
He's in Rocky 3.
And then
right?
You also said in that episode.
so Rocky. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thunderlips.
He's in 3. He's
Thunderlips,
Thunderlips in 3,
yes.
yeah.
You also
Shout out
said
to
in that
Mr.
episode that Fergie Oliver's wife's name was Catherine Swift, when
Oh, no.
in fact it is Catherine Swing.
Yeah.
Toronto Mike, do you regret the errors?
You're slipping.
Nah, fuck that. I'm happy I made those errors.
Spend a bit less
I
time on
have-
your fucking kayak and more. Wow.
Shout out to Midtown Gordon.
Oh yeah. All right, kill it.
No, I let it go. Let it go. Now that you finally faded out these stingers.
Finally, I did it last episode too. Get out of here.
He's 2 for 3.
Those are
That's a
bad.
very good batting average.
Those are bad.
You know what? Those little mess ups, like calling him Terry Balboa when I'm clearly thinking about Rocky Balboa. Terry Balboa. You know what? Those just, I think they're charming. Am I wrong?
I don't disagree, but they need to be called out.
That one's cute. Yeah.
All right, very good.
I think because that one's it's very obvious. What
How
you're
come I
mixing
still
up.
have a clip?
Because
You haven't called for it yet. I'm like falling asleep.
Yeah, it's coming up in the next
Do you know how
segment.
long we've gone? This is going to be the longest FOTM cast ever,
like
and I
2.5
blame
hours.
Bullard for that.
Yeah. There was a lot of Bullard chat. All right, hit the next stinger.
All right, here we go.
Take me for a ride on a slow bus to China. Tell me where in the world is
Stu Stone.
All right. So we don't have a Where is Stu clip necessarily this week
Sure
because I think
Well, I have one.
we
You
do.
want-
It's
Oh.
just not for Stu.
Is that your clip?
Just you can play the clip.
Okay, but then I got to play Stu.
Sure. Oh, you do have a Stu clip.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
Isn't that my job?
Yeah, it's I'm
like-
glad you.
Play them both.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm playing
Yeah.
Tyler's.
Hey, this is
first.
great.
No, let me play. Can I play? Which one do you want first, Stu or yours?
You know what? Dealer's choice.
Surprises.
All right. Here's what Tyler sent me.
Working with you too, and you always have a quality product. And I remember when I first met you, you had a ton of talent and a ton of enthusiasm.
I was
the
there.
question was, how were you going to get where you wanted to be? And I recall in my career early on, I had the enthusiasm, zero talent, but I
Way to make it about you.
see the microphone, didn't know what
Just
I was
kidding.
going to do to
Love
get
Gordon.
there.
But he had those blue eyes.
So I
That's
can relate
piercing.
to the journey you've had, and congratulations to both of you for being
Thank
where
you.
you are now.
Guys, give it up for Gordon.
I got a clue in what's going on. Okay, yes, I was there. This was at the Cineplex on for the premiere of Don't F with Ghosts.
Sankofa Square.
Yeah, right adjacent. It's actually called Young Dundas Cineplex.
Conveniently
No, they changed
Am
that.
I allowed to say the D word?
I don't think so.
know.
Yeah.
Okay, geez. All right, so glad you pulled that clip. Did you record that, Cam?
I recorded, yeah. I guess technically not in Q3 though. Just to be that guy.
No, but I think it's important.
But
that
that's
we,
where he was last week.
Totally.
Yeah.
Where is he now?
Where is he now?
Let's listen.
Hello, Mike. Hello, FOTMs. You might be wondering where in the world is Stu? Or you might not be. Or you might be wondering who the hell is Stu? This is FOTM and Toronto Mike Hall of Famer Stu Stone, a friend of the FOSS is out there. And I first off want to say thank you to Mike and Cam and some of the other surprise FOTMs that showed up at the Toronto premiere screening of our new movie, Don't F with Ghosts. It was really great to share that experience with you, and really, it was really, truly a special night for me and a really fun movie to watch with a packed house like that. So thank you first off for that. But where am I? You might be wondering. I am on the precipice of leaving for 30 days to film the final leg of the 6th season of Dark Side of the Ring. Where will I be? I will be in states like Alabama, Georgia, Kentucky, Florida, Nevada, Michigan,
For election day?
and maybe even New York. I guess I'll find out. But I will be everywhere. But you know where I will really be? I will be
Trump country.
thinking about you guys. And how you could watch the new movie F with Ghosts, which will be available on demand.
Oh, where?
On October the 31st, Halloween. Perfect. That is when it will be available, October the 31st on demand. And then in January, not until January, will it be on Hollywood Suite.
Okay.
First, it's an on-demand exclusive window that the cable companies get before it goes to Hollywood Suite. But it will go to Hollywood Suite, and you will be able to watch it there eventually. I have taken up so much of your guys' time, but I do want to say thank you for the love, and I do plan on coming back to the basement to discuss all of the adventures and misadventures that I've been having and catch up with you, Mike. Hopefully you can pencil me in for November.
Oh.
I'll see you then.
Okay.
Love you, man.
Stu Stone, everybody.
Dropping
Amazing.
some news there.
Yeah. That's
You know,
fantastic.
Cam brought Stu into my life. Cam
I know.
invited himself on Toronto Mike. I liked him.
Yeah.
He's like, you gotta talk to my high school friend Stu Stone.
Yeah.
And he just said a few things. I don't know, Magic School Bus and My Pet Monster, Donnie Darko, and I'm like, I'll talk to that guy, and the rest is history.
I feel like he might have been one of your first guests where I have no idea, but I want to learn this world, because I feel like you've had a lot.
I didn't know the
Where just
name,
like
but you
somebody-
dropped some big titles.
Yeah. Where someone recommends, it's like, you got to talk to this. Here's name drop a couple things, check out these links, and you're like, I'm all in.
No Stu Stone, no Jack Rabbit. Is that what you're saying there?
Exactly, yeah.
And that's a wrap, right? Any final thoughts here? That's the Q3 of 2024 wrapped up. I got to thank you again, Tyler.
My pleasure.
You just kicked ass again. We couldn't do it without you. But Cam, I don't want to undersell your contribution. You did more effort for this episode of FOTMcast than the first two combined.
That's not saying much, but always good to be back and always good to look back too. Even in a quiet quarter for you, Mike, with a few less episodes, still no shortage of things to talk about.
Always.
How long were the first two FOTMcasts? Do you have any clue?
I think they're both just under 2 hours.
Okay, we killed that.
Where we?
How long is this?
I think it's because we had deaths, like Bill Vickers.
Yeah, we had a lot.
We're about 2.5 hours.
Whoa.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a good app.
I say to your point, like anyone who's listening, like 2.5 hours is nothing. Like if you're listening in the first place to this,
yeah, like if you were drawn into an FOTM cast, you'd be disappointed it's so short.
Yeah, exactly.
Like hook it to your veins. I know what that feeling, right? Like it's like, I love this. I crave this.
Yeah.
I wish there was more of this. I want to swim in this.
Yeah, this is like citations. This is footnotes. This is this is filling in all those like nooks and crannies of the Toronto Mike universe. How's that?
Perfect.
And that brings us to the end of our 1,566th show. Go to torontomike.com to learn more. I'm all over the place at Toronto Mike. Cam, I don't know, what is your social media place? Or you're just like lying low? What's going on over here?
Yeah, I don't know. Just text. Right. If you have my phone number, text me.
Just tune in for the next FOTM cast. Much love to all who made this possible. That's Great Lakes Brewery, Palma Pasta, RecycleMyElectronics.ca, Raymond James Canada, Moneris, and Ridley Funeral Home. Tomorrow, I record episode 1567 because tomorrow, Stephen Brunt visits me.
All right.
Stephen Brunt. What do you think about that, Cam? Did Cam fall asleep? No, he's still there. Okay. Stephen Brunt. We're going to talk sports, but we're going to talk music.
The fish murderer, as Bobcat would call him.
See you all then.